And the CFL season wraps up with a Saturday night doubleheader. After back-to-back 4-win seasons, Toronto made a boatload of changes. Will Ryan Dinwiddie help the Argonauts get back on course? In Calgary, Bo Levi Mitchell has an offense stacked full of fresh faces. Can the two-time MOP click with his targets? Later,
Walker's got it! How did he come up with that?
Darrell Walker is back in Edmonton. How quickly will he gel with Trevor Harris? And a young Ottawa squad with new head coach Paul LaPolice aims to prove the critics wrong. The Argos battle the Stamps, and the Red Blacks take on the Elks. The CFL on TSN is next. First stop in Calgary, where the Stamps will be searching for their first win against the new-look Argos. A little later on, we move to Edmonton, where the Elks will welcome a young Red Blacks team to town. So shoulder surgery after the 2019 season, a minor groin issue in camp, but Bo Levi Mitchell seems to be fine, taking on McLeod, Bethel Thompson, and the Argos. Ryan Dinwiddie, by the way, saying Bethel Thompson will be starting because Nick Arbuckle not ready yet, not enough reps in camp. He's dealing with that hamstring issue. Hello, Canada. Welcome inside the CFL on TSN. I am Kate Burness. This is Jim Barker alongside Davis Sanchez. And joining us remotely, as always, Milt Stiegel and Matt Dunnigan. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time in this pregame to talk to our two remote analysts. So sorry again, Milt, but we will get to you guys at halftime. Deep apologies to Milt Stiegel, as always. Coach, I must ask, we know that there have been so many changes to this Toronto Argos team, personnel-wise on the field as well. What do you expect from the Boltmen?
Well, 11 years ago, I happened to coach my first game for the Argos after a career in Calgary, 4, 5, 6 years in Calgary. It's daunting. What I didn't do that he did, he's carrying along with him Devaris Daniels, Eric Rogers, Jawan Breskison, Daniel Braverman, who actually was on their practice roster. So he's brought people who know him, know his system. He's even going to run Dave Dickinson's defense or offense at him. So offensively, they'll be ready. Ches?
End of the year, December this year. There's going to be a big party in Hamilton, right? December 12th. This Argos team, because of this roster, they have a chance to be a part of that. And it's the known guys, the Hughes, the Judge, the Mwambas. They're going to help get them there. But tonight we learned about the unknowns in this Argos roster that we don't know about that really will propel them if they want to be there in December for the big party this year. Let's learn about these guys tonight. I'm excited about seeing them.
Chessie, are you really telling Hamilton Tiger Cat fans that the Argos may be in Hamilton for the Grey Cup?
Their roster, they have a chance.
Good luck in Hamilton, Chessie. We're all
Nothing would hurt more.
Steve Lee Olson, What You're Made Of, Song of the Season.
Great stadium, great city, and a great night for football.
Go, Stamps, go! Go, Stamps, go!
Argos run!
Bo Levi Mitchell, one of the greatest quarterbacks who has played this game.
Just like Tom Brady is in the NFL, we treat it like gold.
How much did you want to do with it?
Oh, you just wait.
I just got my cashback match. Is this for real?
Yep. We match all the cashback new card members earn at the end of their first year automatically.
Whoa, I got my money.
It's hard to contain yourself, isn't it?
Uh-huh. Well, let it go. Woo.
Get a $1-for-$1 match at the end of your first year, only from Discover.
Philips presents One Blade. Trim, edge, shave. For every style, for your style. Philips One Blade. Your style made simple. Together, we make life better.
Philips. In business, it's never just another day. With Comcast Business, you get the network that can deliver gig speeds to the most businesses and advanced cybersecurity to protect every device on it. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Dear Mainland, aloha. We asked our friend Kelly Slater how to catch a big wave.
Like so. I caught one too, brother.
One life, right? Mahalo.
Los Angeles is a movie. It's a musical.
Es un musical.
It's a comedy.
It's a romance.
It's a sci-fi movie.
It's an action movie.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story. Un regreso.
It's a comeback story.
Hold up. It's your comeback story.
Just think, he'll be driving for real soon. Every new Chevy Equinox comes standard with Chevy Safety Assist, including automatic emergency braking. Find new protection. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
I love shovels.
Where did you come from?
Ever find a body?
What? No.
Did you contact 811?
Who are you?
Did you know it's the law?
Why is a child yelling at me?
What if you hit a gas line? Who pays to fix it? Do you? Does my neighbor? Can you go to jail? How much is bail?
It's good to ask questions, like, did you contact 811 before digging?
Are we going to jail? I don't know.
Yup, Yules.
Darlene Sagan of Calgary, Alberta. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save On Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If the kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns in this game, you could also win $1 million. Let's send it to Calgary and join Dwayne Ford and Rod Smith.
The Welcome Back Tour heads further west to Alberta, beginning at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, which hosted the last CFL game played before the pandemic in Grey Cup 2019. Now, the Stampeders' last game was 2 weeks before that. They're ready to start all over again against the Toronto Argonauts in the CFL on TSN.
Leading the Calgary Stampeders, as usual, Bo Levi Mitchell. Best winning percentage all-time in Canadian Football League history, limited to just 11 starts in 2019. He looks to be on the field for all 14-plus playoffs this time around. Facing him, McLeod Bethel Thompson, 4-9 in 13 starts in 19, but led the Canadian Football League with 26 touchdown passes 2 years ago.
The head coaches are the former quarterbacks. Ryan Dinwiddie actually coached here in Calgary, the quarterback's coach, so worked under Dave Dickinson, won a Grey Cup in 2018 here in Calgary, so one of the many former Stamps making his return and making his debut in double blue, and there is Dickinson, one of the best winning percentages for his time in his 5th season now in the history of the Canadian Football League. In his first 3 years, went to the Grey Cup as a head coach, won it in 18. One of the newcomers for Calgary, Sean Riley out of Syracuse, back for the return. Calgary will get the ball first off the foot of Boris Beatty, one of the new Argos, and it is heading Riley's way and rolling down into the end zone, so right off the foot of Boris Beatty. Bo Levi Mitchell is getting set to go to work.
Once again, Mitchell, so successful throughout his career. Not always the best guy statistically, but finds a way to win. Aggressive, pushing the ball down the field. We expect that to be a big part of what he does right out of the gate here.
Greatest winning percentage, too. What a career he has had, starting in 2012, but a seasoned veteran now, and what is the youngest roster, by the way, in the Canadian Football League. An experienced organization, though, that constantly rebuilds and retools and has been a standard of excellence in the CFL. And Mitchell handing off. Kadeem Carey, the running back, and a short gain on first down as he gets it up across the Calgary 25. Let's beat the Stamps offense now. Time for tonight's starting lineups. Brought to you by Expedia, Dwayne.
Yeah, offensively for Calgary, we're going to see some new faces, obviously, as some guys have moved on, many with the Toronto Argonauts, but along that offensive line, several changes. One of the most important being newcomer Sean McEwen coming over from Toronto at center, Calgary native.
On second down, Mitchell throwing, and Markeith Ambles is the closest one to it, but it falls short. And so 2 and out for Calgary in their first possession of the 2021 season, and they'll be punting. Calgary finished up at 12-6 And a disappointing end for a team that's used to making it to at least the Western Final, losing here at McMahon in 2019 to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Western semifinal. Daniel Braverman is back to receive this punt from Cody Grace. Global player. Braverman sees it go through him, and they're on the chase, and the Argos do pick up the ball. That was close. Calgary nearly had a big turnover to start this game, but Toronto does have it. So Braverman, who is, as Jim Barker mentioned, on the practice roster with Calgary in 2019, that in his debut with the Argos, near disaster.
Yeah, it wasn't a case of misjudging it, not losing it in the sun. He got himself in perfect position. That one just went right through his hands to hit the ground. Argos very fortunate to get on top of this. Little Billy Buckner there, Rod.
Right through. Levi Noel picking it up. A 67-yard punt. And McLeod Bethel-Thompson. And that offense for the Argos going to work. It's John White, the veteran running back who previously played in BC and Hamilton and Edmonton before that on the carry.
And the challenge for McLeod Bethel-Thompson is to be more consistent in terms of his production. He's a guy who's put up pretty good numbers, as we said off the top, led the league in touchdown passes. He was number 3 in passing yards in 2019. But a lot of those yards came after they were behind in games and forced to throw the ball and kind of piling up numbers. They want to make sure that they're as productive early as they are later on.
Wants to prove he's a legitimate starting quarterback in this league, and completes that one, and in tight coverage as well to Ricky Collins Jr., and very close to a first down for the Argos. Collins previously with Edmonton.
Ricky Collins is going to start off here on the line of scrimmage, 3-man set into that right side of the field. Just quick stops trying to get in front of coverage. Quick hitter out around the sticks.
They gain 7, and just like that, they do get a first down up across the 25 for Bethel-Thompson. Just underway here at McMahon. Out to Braverman. His first catch in the CFL with the Argos across the 30-yard line. Let's have a look at the Argo offense now, Dwayne.
Yeah, and some new faces along that offensive line. Veterans Phil Blake and Dariusz Bladek coming over from Saskatchewan. But the rookie, Peter Nicastro from the University of Calgary, first rounder, steps in at guard. In the receiving corps, some guys who know their way around this field, certainly. Daniels, Rogers, Braverman, Breskison, all former members of the Stamps organization.
There's a lot of red in the double blue for the Argos, former Stamps. White on the catch and the carry afterwards, and a big first down for Toronto on the move, getting closer to midfield.
McLeod Bethel-Thompson has talked a lot about being coached hard and the demand of very high standards from his new head coach, Ryan Dinwiddie. If the first few plays and first few passes are any indication, things seem to be working in terms of moving towards that goal of being productive right out of the gate with this Argonaut out.
Pass to John White. Bethel-Thompson, a gain of 21 and a first down. Argos on the move here in their first possession. And it's away to Braverman again. Second catch in this opening drive for Daniel Braverman. How about the Stamps defensively, who've undergone a lot of changes as well?
They certainly have still familiar faces in the middle, and Derek Wigan and Mike Rose. Sean Lemon, picked up after being released at the end of camp by Edmonton, makes his return to Calgary. Darnell Sankey, the new man in this group. A hard hitter, big-bodied middle linebacker, kind of an old-school player. In that secondary, Deshaun Amos and Raheem Wilson, the youngsters, move over to the boundary side this year, replacing the departed Trey Roberson and Brandon Smith.
And their big free agent acquisition, Richard Leonard, injured, not able to play today, but coming over, the All-Star from Hamilton. So another big name in the Calgary secondary for this season. And very close to another first down is Toronto. About a foot away by the marking, and going for it here just across midfield. Third down, and the keeper for Bethel-Thompson, who does get the first down yardage as this drive for the double blue will continue.
The Argos were a team that struggled mightily in the department of time of possession 2 years ago. One of the many things that Coach Dinwiddie looks to clean up here.
Ryan Dinwiddie. we first really learned that name, he was with Winnipeg as a quarterback, a backup to Kevin Glenn, and after Kevin Glenn got hurt in the Eastern Final in 2007, Dinwiddie made his first start in the CFL in the Grey Cup against Saskatchewan. Bethel Thompson over to White again. John White, some nice moves. Afterwards, gets it down closer to the 40. So this is an impressive start for this Argo offense. A look at the long list of current Argos who used to be with the Calgary Stampeders.
Last time they played for, in many cases, obviously, Arbuckle, Rogers, Breskison, Daniel, Cordero Law, all most recently played with the Calgary Stampeders. Daniels had a stop in Edmonton on the way.
Ninth play of this drive now, and John White takes it and gets close to another first down. And another couple of names you could add, Shaq Richardson and Dexter McCoyle on this Toronto team. Also had some time with Calgary, so then you count the head coach Ryan Dinwiddie, and it is a long list of former Stamps now with Toronto.
Certainly Jim Barker talked about it a little bit in the opening of our show. You want that familiarity, people who know what your expectations are going to be when you go into a job with a new team. You're trying to turn things around, as Ryan Dinwiddie is. It's nice to have some people with whom you have experienced success in the past surrounding you.
Very close measure, and the nose of the football gets to that stick, and it is indeed a first down for Toronto. This is their first drive, and we're getting upwards of halfway through this opening quarter. An impressive look by McLeod Bethel Thompson and that Toronto offense here. And the opening day, as we've enjoyed this weekend, is seeing the CFL back after a long hiatus of more than 600 days. Over 5 minutes long this drive has been for the Toronto Argonauts. Taking that handoff, dumping it off, Levi Noel, and gets it, fights for some more yards, and inside the 30, so down for another first down, or very close to it. Yes, they do move the sticks again. Gain of 11 yards.
And you're seeing McLeod Bethel Thompson get into a rhythm, getting the ball out quickly. We've seen it a couple of times to Braverman, now by Noel, big target. Getting involved in that passing attack.
Bethel Thompson 6 for 6. This is reminiscent of Cody Fajardo last night in Regina, and a great start for the offense of Saskatchewan. Let's see if the Argos can cash in as they move. Braverman and cuts the corner and has another first down, and they are just sailing right through this Calgary defense right now.
I'll tell you what, one of the things we're seeing is we knew exactly why the Toronto Argonauts and Ryan Dinwiddie would bring guys they knew from Calgary like Eric Rogers, Tavares Daniels to plug into that receiving corps. You maybe didn't know until the first drive of this ball game why Daniel Braverman. This is the guy who's seen the ball the most in this opening possession. Very successful return guy. They want to try and get him that ball in space.
Certainly making him forget about the bobbled punt too. Right off the top, Braverman having a great drive, and the drive is capped off there with a touchdown. It is Juwan Breskison back in Calgary and caps off this impressive drive. One of the ex-Stampeders scoring against Calgary.
And here you'll get a look. Once again, balls out quickly before pressure can get to Bethel Thompson. Breskison, big-bodied receiver. He's just running that quick slant, gets in inside position, and essentially walls out a smaller defender.
12 plays, 94 yards for the Argos, driving down, and Breskison, the ex-Stampeder in his 5th year out of Northern Illinois. And the Canadian, who played only 4 games for the Stamps because of injury in 2019, gets Toronto on the board from Bethel Thompson, trying to add 2 more. And they do indeed, with John White carrying it in. So this is a great start for the Argonauts. Breskison, the touchdown. White, the 2-point conversion. Bethel Thompson, perfect in the passing department. Early on here at McMahon, the Argos leading the Stampeders 8-0.
I just got my cashback match. Is this for real? Yep. We match all the cashback new card members earn at the end of their first year automatically.
Whoa, I got my money.
It's hard to contain yourself, isn't it?
Well, let it go.
Get a $1 for $1 match at the end of your first year, only from Discover.
At T-Mobile for Business, unconventional thinking means we see things differently so you can focus on what matters most. Whether it's ensuring food arrives as fresh as when it departs, being first on the scene when every second counts, or teaching biology without a lab, we are the leader in 5G, #1 in customer satisfaction, and a partner who includes 5G in every plan. So you get it all, without trade-offs. Unconventional thinking. It's better for business.
You've crafted, dyed your kids' hair, made hand sanitizer. Now it's time to get out and play tennis.
On this touchdown, you're just going to see a simple two-man combination between these two receivers. Breskison working in, Levi Noel working out. But watch before they make their breaks. There's a moment of hesitation by the two of them as to which direction they're going, and that creates that confusion for the defenders as to whether they're going to have to switch off and who's going which way. That allows Breskison make that cut to the inside. Catching Moxie sitting, waiting on the outside break.
Pretty sweet for the former Stamp who signed with Toronto as a free agent after the 2019 season. He's waited a long time for this, making his debut. Sean Riley on the kick return for Calgary, now in an 8-0 hole after going 2 and out in their first drive. Juwan Breskison, the touchdown for Toronto, and an 8-0 lead here at McMahon.
At T-Mobile for Business, unconventional thinking means we see things differently so you can focus on what matters most. Whether it's ensuring food arrives as fresh as when it departs, being first on the scene when every second counts, or teaching biology without a lab, we are the leader in 5G, #1 in customer satisfaction, and a partner who includes 5G in every plan. So you get it all, without trade-offs. Unconventional thinking. It's better for business.
Spend less bacon, get more of it. With the only $1 bacon cheeseburger around, only at Burger King. Enjoy flame-grilled beef, melty cheese, and sizzling bacon for $1. Stack your bacon with the $1 Your Way menu, featuring the $1 bacon cheeseburger.
Philips presents One Blade. Trim, edge, shave. For every style, for your style. Philips One Blade. Your style made simple. Together, we make life better.
Philips.
I've always wanted to do that.
Next round on me.
This year, you can be part of the greatest return ever. Because this return is powered by...
Well, the Calgary Stampeders have the ball back. Juwan Breskison, ex-Stampeder, with the reception to put the Stamps in an early hole. Nick Arbuckle not getting enough reps in this abbreviated training camp to get the start against his old team. The way McLeod Bethel Thompson looked there, it might be difficult to get in. I know it's early to be speculating on quarterback battles and everything else, but Bethel Thompson does have experience, and he certainly had poise on that drive as Bo Levi Mitchell and Kadeem Carey taking the handoff go to work here on their second possession. The Stampeders offense, and a lot of changes up front on that offensive line for the Stamps, Dwayne.
Well, certainly with the likes of Nyla Kazatati and Shane Bergman moving on. We've got different faces in that lineup. Take a look at the receiving corps. All guys that have been here before. Perhaps not big numbers necessarily in the past, but when you look at what people like Markeith Ambles has done in half a season, obviously Kamar Jordan, an established guy, but a guy who's been limited in terms of how many games he's been able to play. Josh Huff as well. Herji Mayala.
Toronto, number 35. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
From referee Justin McInnes. Speaking of guys who've been here before, Charleston Hughes knows all about playing with McMahon and a little anxious there.
You can see him already, even from that freeze frame, already in motion before the ball is snapped.
Hughes with 130 career sacks, climbing that list. The active leader, 99 of them came here with the Stampeders. Kadeem Carey butting heads as they get a first down, their first down of this game, getting it up across the 35.
Taking a look at the Argo defense, of course, Charleston Hughes, very familiar to Canadian Football League fans. The other guys all with very extensive resumes south of the border, but new to this league.
Another carry for Kadeem Carey. Going the right side and a gain of 4. That Argo defense almost virtually changed from 2019. The only name, Shaq Richardson, Matt Boateng, a backup, and Robbie Smith. They're the only ones who are on that defense in 2019. So much change. A lot of impressive additions, too, for Toronto defensively. And a 2nd and 5 now. And that is caught. First catch of the game for Josh Huff. That'll move the sticks and a first down. Stampeders up near their 50.
Josh Huff, a guy who's new to this team in 2019. 10 games that season. You know, I started to talk a little bit about the collection of receivers that the Stampeders still have, as I think there was a lot of hand-wringing over the loss of Eric Rogers, but you've still got a number of guys who have been productive and just limited experience.
It's out to Richardson. Danny nearly batted away, but Mitchell threads it through. Sindani gets it up for 5 yards. If you notice the Calgary helmets too, by the way, the traditional Stampeder logo. On the other side, you'll see number 75, the 75th anniversary they're celebrating. An organization that got going in the late 40s, and really one of the famous teams in the history of Canadian football was 1948, a couple of years after they started, when they went perfect. 12-0 and won the Grey Cup in Toronto, beating the old Ottawa Rough Riders. But a great history of football, Canadian football here in Calgary. 75 years. Ante Milanovich-Litre with the whistles blowing. And
quick whistle.
Very quick whistle, and the fans are letting the officials hear about it.
He showed great balance here, getting the hand down. I think the official anticipating that after this collision that he was going to have to go down, but he does a terrific job.
Was the elbow down?
From here, initially looked like it was only his hand and foot that touched the ground, but let's see if the elbow hits. Yeah, that right elbow. Right elbow and forearm with the ball did touch, so good call. My apologies to the official.
Fans aren't apologizing yet, I don't think, but it was a right call, and they do go for it on 3rd and about a foot. And the keeper by Michael O'Connor, the backup quarterback, I believe, in there for the keeper for Bo Levi Mitchell. Yes, indeed. Talk about Canadian quarterbacks, and that's a promising young quarterback who played for the Argos the last couple of years, and we saw one last night with Nathan Rourke in a losing cause with Michael Riley trying to give it a go, but Rourke played a lot of that game and showed a lot of poise in that loss for the Lions against Saskatchewan.
Yeah, Michael O'Connor and Nathan Rourke, certainly the flag bearers, so to speak, for the next wave of Canadian quarterbacks, and a good group coming behind them in this generation, believe me.
Flags out just with a snap of the ball. Enoch Mwamba, a little too soon. Another newcomer in this revamped
offside
defense.
Toronto, number 10. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Great career for him, starting in Winnipeg in 2011, going to the Grey Cup. Stops in Montreal, Saskatchewan, and most recently with the Alouettes in 19, but now a member of the Argos. Bringing in Cameron Judge as well, so breaking linebackers with those signings on defense for Toronto. The great Canadian linebackers. Well, looked like they had Kadeem Carey, but he breaks through that Argonaut tackle. And good work by Kadeem Carey.
And I like the play calling for Calgary here so far. Doing a nice job running the football, running sort of a possession offense of their own. When you think about the Argos' first drive, how they took momentum, took the crowd out of the game, but also kept Calgary's defense on the field for a long time. So it's not just a matter of moving the football, getting points, and getting your own rhythm, but you're also getting your defense a break, not allowing them to get worn down early in this ball game.
Looked like Sean Oakman had the chance. Number 90 lost his helmet too as Carey broke free. And Mitchell under pressure dumps it off. First catch of the day, Virgie Mayala, a former top pick, taken 8th overall in 2019. So his second season with the Stamps.
Well, we've talked about Ryan Dinwiddie essentially running Dave Dickinson's offense. We're seeing some of that in terms of what the team's passing games have been thus far. Ball's out quickly.
This is just the 4th possession overall in this game, and we're just about through a quarter. Of course, the Argos ate up a lot of the clock with a 12-play touchdown drive, and Calgary is answering impressively now, too, in scoring range as we get within 30 seconds of quarter time.
And as much as the Calgary Stampeders in recent years have been a highly successful franchise, there are a lot of new faces. You mentioned, Rod, they are the youngest team in the Canadian Football League. They don't want to risk getting down early.
And quick inside to Huff, who takes it outside and gets it inside the 15. So adding to the passing stats in the shortest way possible for Bo Levi Mitchell. To Josh Huff. And they are threatening at quarter time. So they'll change ends, and they are in business to see if they can tie this game. That was the Argos driving right down on their possession for a touchdown, and Calgary is looking to answer back now. It is still an 8-0 Argo lead. Game 1 for both of these teams here in the CFL on TSN.
Spend less bacon, get more of it. With the only $1 bacon cheeseburger around, only at Burger King. Enjoy flame-grilled beef, melty cheese, and sizzling bacon for $1. Stack your bacon with the $1 Your Way menu, featuring the $1 bacon cheeseburger.
At T-Mobile for Business, unconventional thinking means we see things differently, so you can focus on what matters most. Whether it's ensuring food arrives as fresh as when it departs, being first on the scene when every second counts, or teaching biology without a lab, we are the leader in 5G, #1 in customer satisfaction, and a partner who includes 5G in every plan. So you get it all, without trade-offs. Unconventional thinking. It's better for business.
I'm not always on my game, but lately, my uncle is, especially with his type 2 diabetes.
With once-weekly Trulicity, most people reached an A1C under 7%. Plus, it can help you lose up to 10 pounds. Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. It's not approved for use in children. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it, you or your family have medullary thyroid cancer, or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with sulfonylurea or insulin raises low blood sugar risk. Side effects include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration and may worsen kidney problems. Ask your doctor about once-weekly Trulicity.
I just got my cashback match. Is this for real? Yep. We match all the cashback new card members earn at the end of their first year automatically.
Woo, I got my money.
It's hard to contain yourself, isn't it?
Uh-huh. Well, let it go. Woo.
Get a $1 match at the end of your first year, only from Discover.
I've always wanted to do that.
Next round on me.
weekend of La Liga. Catch.
Back in Calgary, a look at the first quarter stats. Actually, only 3 possessions in that first quarter. Only 1 by the Argos. An impressive 12-play drive. McLeod Bethel-Thompson 8 for 8 on that. And Calgary is driving as we get set for the second quarter. But how about what Toronto has done offensively so far?
Yeah, and what Toronto did to start this game and to start their season is exactly what Toronto needed to do to start this season. They got a 2-and-out on defense on Calgary's opening possession, and then a terrific scoring drive on their opening possession offensively, kind of giving an indication that this is not the 2019 4-win Toronto Argonauts.
And yet the Calgary Stampeders want to be heard from as well. A 12-play drive for the Argo touchdown. Play number 13 coming up on this drive with the Stampeders down to the Argo 12. So it continues now as they're looking for the end zone. Looking for an answer on only their second possession of this game so far. Quarter 2 begins. Bo Levi Mitchell. And flipping it off to Kamar Jordan. And an interesting story he is, too, as he has not played in a long time. First regular season action since Labor Day 2018, and gets it down near the 5.
Well, one of the positives, I suppose, to come out of the extra long layoff, I suppose, for the Canadian Football League would be for the Calgary Stampeders, and a guy like Kamar Jordan came back right at the end of 2019 from a very serious knee injury, as you mentioned, the previous year. But to know that he's 100% and that you're not rushing him, real important for this group.
And that was for the playoff game against Winnipeg, which they ultimately lost in the West semifinal. And he was having such an amazing year in 2018 before
Procedure,
he got hurt.
Calgary, number 69. It's 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
The newcomer at right tackle, Julian Good-Jones, gets called on procedure, so pushes the Stamps 5 yards further back.
Good-Jones. One CFL newcomer along that offensive line. We'll quickly get acquainted with the likes of Charleston Hughes. Saw some Shane Ray, highly touted newcomer on that Toronto Argonaut defensive line as well. Robbie Smith getting some reps in there now.
Up against Robbie Smith and screening it off, and they have that. Read beautifully, Kadeem Carey goes nowhere, and it's Coney Ely, who had a great Super Bowl for Carolina back in Super Bowl 50, sacking Peyton Manning 3 times, also had an interception. One of the players of the game for the Panthers then, but Ely making his Argo debut, and a nice play to debut with right there.
Yeah, and he's lined up right on the nose on this play, head up on the center. By that backfield he sees as Kadeem Carey is getting himself into that screen alignment.
Rene Paredes from 20 yards away, as he usually is. Money in the bank for Calgary on a chip shot for him. The Stamps do get on the board. 8-3 Argos in the second.
T-Mobile gives you more ways than ever to get out there. We're America's largest 5G network. So get out there. Take the epic iPhone 12 with 5G with you. Current and new customers can get up to 4 on us. Experience it with our new Magenta Max plan with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. And connect your devices on the go with 40 gigabytes of high-speed hotspot data included. That's right, unlimited premium data in the iPhone 12 on us. Get out there with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G.
Sonic Banana Pudding Shake.
It's the best time of the year. The big plays, and the hometown's going crazy. Let's hit some dingers.
It was back in 2007. Ryan Dinwiddie, a backup quarterback for Winnipeg, made his first start in the Grey Cup against Saskatchewan. Ultimately, they did not win that game, but people learned the name of Ryan Dinwiddie, who later went into coaching, quality control coach with the Alouettes, moved on to become a quarterbacks coach with Calgary before moving to Toronto. With more, let's head down to Sarah Oleski. Sarah?
Well, Brad, I can tell you that for his first game as a head coach in the CFL, if he got to choose where to have that game, it wouldn't be here at McMahon. He said that in his perfect world, it would have been a couple of games in, but we've seen him, as you mentioned, as a player, as a coach. I asked him, though, what is he like as a head coach now? Pretty honest assessment, I'd say. He said he can be impatient for it and that he is extremely competitive. The first words that any player used to describe him to me. And that he can be a pain to players. He's been known, he says, to throw an odd temper tantrum when players haven't been able to get on page with what he's doing. He feels though it's important. There's a certain way for them to have to play in order to have success. He wants everybody to buy in. He's surrounded himself by a veteran coaching staff as well. You know that he's happy with what he's seen so far in this game.
And Sarah, he may not have wanted to start here, but he has to like the start here so far for his offense. After that big play or toss to Ricky Collins, it's John White going left, but they pushed it a little further downfield for Ricky Collins, a 16-yard gain, and then a shorter gain there to John White of just a yard.
That's what you anticipate the game evolving to a little bit, as we've seen a lot of short passes early on. Because ideally you want to start to get those defensive backs creeping up a little bit, trying to jump routes and so on, and create opportunities to push the ball down the field a little bit.
So 2nd and 9, passing situation. McLeod Bethel-Thompson has not had an incompletion in this game. And this time he takes off. He's been known to run before, tries to reach for the first down marker, but he does fall shy. But about a yard or two, and they are in Calgary territory, so after a 7-yard run by Bethel-Thompson, will they be going for it here? And sending some big boys in right now. Boris Beatty is one of the big boys in, though. He is a big man, but he also happens to kick, and they're going to spot this down. He's going to try a field goal, mark it at about 58 yards for the booming leg of Boris Beatty, the ex-Montreal Alouette. Will try to put 3 more on the board for the Argos. 58-yard try with Bethel-Thompson spotting. It is wide left. But he had quite a leg into it, and it's Sean Riley that's returning it, and he has a big return on the go now. Riley out of Syracuse in his first game in the CFL. Gets it up across the 31, so they went for that field goal. Calgary gets a big return, and they're still down by 5 in the second.
Introducing the big 5G upgrade from Metro by T-Mobile. Ditch your overpriced connection with Boost and Cricket and switch to Metro, the leader in prepaid. Save half and get 1 line of unlimited smartphone data for just $25 a month with 5G access included. Plus, get a free Samsung Galaxy 5G with trade-in. All on the power of T-Mobile's 5G network. Rule your day with the big 5G upgrade. Only at Metro.
Spend less bacon, get more of it. With the only $1 bacon cheeseburger around, only at Burger King. Enjoy flame-grilled beef, melty cheese, and sizzling bacon for $1. Stack your bacon with the $1 Your Way menu, featuring the $1 bacon cheeseburger.
Hi, I'm Randy Couture. Welcome to my home base. Come see what my life looks like outside of the cage with USAA's Home Base on ESPN YouTube.
The class of 2020 in the Canadian Football includes John Hufnagel, for all the great work Hufnagel did with the Stampeders. Hasn't been a formal induction yet because of the pandemic, but he arrived in 2008, won Grey Cups as a head coach, also a general manager as well. 4, in fact. He was a good player, but as an executive, as a builder, as a coach, he has been outstanding and rightfully inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. John Hufnagel recognized, still with a team that he is building to see if they can get back to where they were. What a mark of consistency this Calgary team has been too since Hufnagel arrived.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of focus on John Hufnagel, the head coach, the general manager, since coming back to Calgary in 2008. But a big part of John Hufnagel's legacy in the Canadian Football League goes back to his time in the 90s as an offensive coordinator.
When you were there, you knew he coached, right?
Yeah, prolific. I mean, John Hufnagel, he's the innovator of the 5 and 6 receiver offenses that have become the base in this league. He was the first guy to start doing that.
On 2nd and 9 for Mitchell, and he's looking for Huff. And a flag is down in that area, where a couple of flags now down in that Argos secondary. And former Stampeder Robertson Daniel in on the coverage.
Pass interference, Toronto, number 0. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
We're keeping an eye on this matchup towards the bottom of the screen. A couple of old teammates going head-to-head, and once again, this is what we talked about. You see a lot of quick hitters early. Creates this opportunity for the stop and go, get the DB to bite, and try and go over the top.
A 12-yard gain with that penalty against Robertson Daniel. Notable game for the former Stampeders so far. That penalty by Daniel, but most notably, of course, Juwan Breskison with the Argo touchdown. And the lead. Mitchell has it deflected. It's knocked at the line, and it falls incomplete. There's Dexter McCoyle, who spent some time with the Stampeders in 2019, coming back from the NFL.
Yeah, McCoyle, of course, best known for his rookie season with the Edmonton Eskimos before he headed south. Incredibly productive, versatile defender, a guy who's a big-time safety at the University of Tulsa, moved up to play the will linebacker spot in the Canadian Football League. Really took the league by storm.
Rookie of the year in 2014 with Edmonton, Dexter McCoyle. Huff on the receiving end, shy of a first down on that 2nd down play and approaching midfield. But it does look a good yard, 2 yards here, still in their own zone. And Mitchell stays out on the field. First of 2 today. It's been a great comeback tour by the CFL, starting in Winnipeg, and an emotional night. It certainly was last night in Regina as well. And now moving further west here in Calgary and north to Edmonton after this for the Elks under a new name, and the Ottawa Redblacks as well. All on TSN today. So on 3rd down, they go for it and they get it. First down, Stampeders up again, and that is inside the Toronto 50.
I've said for the last couple of years, one of the things that I think is so important in short yardage situations is being unpredictable. Don't do what everybody expects all the time. They bring an extra back into the game, set up, looking like they're going to run the football. So everybody's kind of anchored in at the line of scrimmage, anticipating that. And you go to the air on 3rd and short. Love the call.
So the Stampeders sustaining another drive here. They had another one, a long one, 13 plays, ending up with a field goal. Ante Milanovic-Litre on the carry, and a good gain on first down, getting close to the Toronto 40.
Yeah, the Simon Fraser product has essentially moved himself into a role as the backup running back. He's going to get some time and get some touches in that feature back spot after swinging back and forth between fullback and running back in past years, but the Stamps have often been a team that's dressed 2 American running backs. Again, Simon Fraser product, Canadian, gives him some nice flexibility with his ability from that spot.
With the spot, it's a gain of 7, 2nd and 3. And again, it is Milanovic-Litre on the carry and close to a first down for Calgary. See where they spot this. Indeed it is. The first down just inside the 38. So these have been long drives. The Argos had one particularly long one, Calgary, just their 3rd possession. And just 3 points on the board, but getting into scoring range again now. As already we're past the midway point of the 2nd quarter. An 8-3 game. Milanovic-Litre, 3rd straight carry. And another good gain as he gets it down to the 30. And a 2nd down and short.
And keep an eye on the center here, Sean McEwen. Big acquisition, former Toronto Argonaut, 1st-round pick back in 20. Getting in on that double team, working up to 2nd level. Bring the big back in right behind your center for a nice gain.
It's Preston Butler who's the injured Argo. You see how it happened right there as Milanovic-Litre went down. So as the Argos medical staff tends to Preston Butler, a break here at McMahon.
T-Mobile gives you more ways than ever to get out there. We're America's largest 5G network. So get out there. Take the epic iPhone 12 with 5G with you. Current and new customers can get up to 4 on us. Experience it with our new Magenta Max plan with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. And connect your devices on the go with 40 gigabytes of high-speed hotspot data included. That's right, unlimited premium data in the iPhone 12 on us. Get out there with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G.
Subway has so much new, I couldn't fit it all in the last ad.
Yep. So let me finish this. There's new hickory smoked bacon, fresh mozzarella, smashed avocado. You know what? There's a lot. But it all makes a better footlong.
Can I get a word in?
Sure. Take the tagline.
Because you got to refresh to be fresh.
It's the Eat Fresh Refresh at Subway. And they're refreshing everything from how they make it to how they bake it to how they bring it to you.
This new Turkey Cali Fresh is incredible. Do you even eat bread? Steph, it's a commercial.
Philips presents One Blade. Trim, edge, shave. For every style, for your style. Philips One Blade. Your style made simple. Together, we make life better.
Philips.
The greatest return starts here in the greatest city. It's a return to the amazing.
It is doubleheader day here in Alberta, heading north after this one to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. CFL opening weekend continuing with a clash between the Red Blacks and the Elks. You can catch that action. Dustin Nielsen, Glenn Suter with the call on that. It's all only on TSN coming up later today. Preston Butler was the injured player for the Argos. The drive continues for Calgary. They're down by 5, 2nd and 2. Approaching the Argo 30. Kadeen Carey. And Charleston Hughes in on that tackle to a carry and a short gain for the Stampeders.
Well, Charleston Hughes is certainly a guy they're looking at to be a leader, not just on that defensive line, not just on the defense, but setting the tone for this entire Toronto Argonaut team. Highly productive, successful, consistent, whether it's been in Calgary or Saskatchewan. One of the most feared pass rushers in the history of the Canadian Football League.
And the sack leader in 2019 with the Rough Riders. He has sacked a lot of quarterbacks in his day. And they keep it on the ground. And another first down for Calgary. This drive does continue. Kadeen Carey. Charleston Hughes talking about facing his old team, which he's done before, but also this. He had a few words, little trash talk going on to some of his old teammates there, and he's still not letting it go. He's basking in his moment, coming back to McMahon and wanting to make a statement, wanting to make one on the field as well. Charleston Hughes, welcome back to McMahon. It's Huff. Josh Huff. And a good carry on that little toss again from Mitchell. That play has worked well, and it's worked for another first down. It'll be 1st and goal, Calgary. Getting deep now inside the 10.
Yeah, it looked like the timing was a little off. You're going to see Huff coming from the left of your screen, going left to right here. Just had to hold up a little bit. As you see, that snap is almost hitting him. There's a little bit of a stutter here. Still a very successful play for the Stampeders. We've seen that one a few times. Josh Huff. Tough to see him go down as a guy who's emerging quickly as a big part of this Calgary Stampeder offense.
Especially with the receiving core that's undergone such turnover. He and Mayala become like veterans now with receivers like Brescison, Rogers, Reggie Beggleton leaving.
Yeah, he really does. You'll see him go down awkwardly here.
Wow.
But Josh Huff is a guy, 491 yards in 10 games last year, just below a 1,000-yard pace over a full season, or in 2019 rather. So just off a 1,000-yard pace after joining the Stampeders. So a guy from whom big things are expected with increased opportunity here in 21.
Just the twist of the neck as he was going down there, and a good sight as he's up and jogging off the field to some applause. It's the carry by Huff. After that catch, getting down to the 8-yard line and a 1st and goal.
It's 1st and goal, Stampeders on the 8-yard line.
Calgary looking for its first lead in this game. As Mitchell looks into the end zone, and he has Kamar Jordan for the touchdown. And Calgary does have its first lead of the game. Now you can also say, welcome back, Kamar Jordan. It's been a while.
But keep an eye on the way Bo Levi in here. Pressure coming from the right side of your screen, and he knows it's coming. He's just got to stand in there long enough to let Jordan make that break and get that separation. Stands in there, lays it up, takes the hit. In exchange for the touchdown, you know, Bo Levi Mitchell will make that trade every time.
12 plays, 79 yards. And that drive for the touchdown, Bo Levi Mitchell to Kamar Jordan. And a great sight for Kamar Jordan, whose career was put in jeopardy by a serious knee injury back in 2018. As said, he didn't play again until the playoffs in 2019. They're going for 2 with it being a 1-point game now. See if they can make it 3. And Mitchell in, and it is caught. And yes, it is a 2-point conversion initially coming out, but Markeith Ambles right back in. And we've got an 11-8 game for Calgary. The Stampeders on top now.
We'll take a look back at Kamar Jordan's official welcome back moment. Lays out to go get that one for the major. Keep an eye here. Markeith Ambles. Crossing the goal line twice there just to be sure. You didn't know Bo could dance.
I did not. Looks like he's having some fun. After a tougher year in 2019 for him as well, but tough for that man the last couple of years. And you think, Dwayne, how good a season he was having. He looked like he could have been MOP in 2018 at the rate he was going at. He had 944 yards receiving in 10 games before suffering that serious knee injury in Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Kamar Jordan was a guy who saw very limited action his first couple of years in the Canadian Football League and really kind of found his stride down the stretch in 2017. As we've mentioned, was on fire to start that 2018 season before going down with the injury. And I think that little dance you saw with he and Bo Levi Mitchell was just two guys that are happy to be reunited here in 2021.
A lot of people just happy and feeling like doing that just to see the CFL bag. Danny Braverman taking it out of bounds. Let's go back to Sarah Lesky. Sarah?
Well, Rod, as we're speaking about Kamar Jordan, everyone that I've spoken to so far in this coaching staff says this is the real Kamar, what we're seeing this year, that he's back to 100%, that the year off actually in 2020 probably really helped him with it as well. He's going to be so important to this offense, not just because of his familiarity with Bo Levi Mitchell and the offense, obviously, but the veteran experience. He started in this organization in 2013, worked his way up from the practice roster, and with young receivers behind the starters, he can help show them the Calgary Stampeder way. He is going to be important, they said. He'll be one of those players that Bo Levi Mitchell loves to go to this season.
Absolutely, Sarah. And you think of the line of great receivers Calgary's had. Eric Rogers now with the Argos. Following him, Tavares Daniels in 2016. Kamar Jordan had been around and really started to burst onto the scene in 17 and 18 before the injury. And they always find a way, this team. And it's nice to see Jordan back in the mix, and certainly the veteran, the elder statesman, if you will, of that receiving core of Calgary, and getting the touchdown that puts them on top in this game. Bethel Thompson gets it away, but he had a man in his face in his first incompletion. It was Mike Rose that got the pressure on Bethel Thompson, and that is the first time we can say he's thrown an incomplete ball in this game.
Mike Rose is a guy who is poised for a big season, had something of a breakout year in 2019 after playing one game in each of his first 2 years in the Canadian Football League, but really established himself as a starter, led all interior defensive linemen in the CFL in tackles 2 years ago.
It's the first time we see Boris Beatty. Punt, and it's blocked! Blocked! Stampeders on the chase and recovering. Fraser Sobek had it, no, and it's picked up by the rookie Charlie Moore, a product here at the University of Calgary.
Yeah, Charlie Moore is the guy who got through for the block.
Calgary's Charlie Moore. First game with the Stamps. Big play, Calgary. They have the ball in scoring position when we come back.
T-Mobile gives you more ways than ever to get out there. We're America's largest 5G network. So get out there. Take the epic iPhone 12 with 5G with you. Current and new customers can get up to 4 on us. Experience it with our new Magenta Max plan with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. And connect your devices on the go with 40 gigabytes of high-speed hotspot data included. That's right, unlimited premium data in the iPhone 12 on us. Get out there with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G.
Spend less bacon, get more of it. With the only $1 bacon cheeseburger around. Only at Burger King. Enjoy flame-grilled beef, melty cheese, and sizzling bacon for $1. Stack your bacon with the $1 Your Way menu, featuring the $1 bacon cheeseburger.
Philips presents One Blade. Trim, edge, shave. For every style, for your style. Philips One Blade. Your style made simple. Together, we make life better.
Philips.
Los Angeles is a movie. It's a musical.
Es un musical.
It's a comedy.
It's a romance.
It's a sci-fi movie.
It's an action movie.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story. Un regreso.
It's a comeback story.
Hold up. It's your comeback story.
Coming up in the half, we talk the patience of the QBs and also Charleston Hughes. What's going on with all that smack talking? And maybe, just maybe, we will let Milt Stegall have a word. We haven't really decided yet, though. Rod?
Thank you, Kate. There's a look at Charlie Moore, who played his college football with the Calgary Dinos, drafted by the Stampeders back in May. And what a great moment for him at home here in McMahon to block that punt of Boris Beatty and put the Stampeders in business inside the 20. They just got the lead a few minutes ago, and now they're looking to add to it. Mitchell going to work. Kadeem Carey up the middle and greeted there. Dexter McCoyle, one of the Argos.
Take a look at the block here, and I want you to keep an eye on the personal protector in the back. I believe that's Jeff Richards, number 23. Charlie Moore from right here. He's not the line line of scrimmage. Now, as a personal protector, your rule is just like pass protection, inside out. You got to protect your inside first, take away the shortest line to that football. He started cheating outside a little bit. Moore saw that direct line to the kick. Made a big play.
One of several dinos taken in that draft, too. Terrific university program here in Calgary. Looking for Herji Mayala. And in on the coverage is Treston Deku, one of the newcomers to Toronto. So that falls incomplete, and we're looking at a field goal situation now for Rene Paredes.
Toronto defense steps up to hold them here, but Calgary, after that dominant Toronto drive on their first possession, Calgary's done a pretty masterful job of taking control of the momentum of this ballgame.
Get a 20-yarder before, this one 22 and 2, and a real momentum shift in the last few minutes here after the touchdown drive for Calgary. Kamar Jordan, then the block punt, and that leads to 3 more points on the board and a 6-point Calgary lead, 14 unanswered points. Coverage of the Women's World Hockey Championship comes your way August 20th from here in Calgary. Team Canada beginning their quest to reclaim gold on home ice. Catch every game all tournament long. That's exclusively here on TSN. There are 2 minutes to go until halftime. Interesting half with pressure coming on the blitz. They get a piece of that ball from Bethel Thompson, who sees his Argonaut offense starting to struggle now. That Stampeder defense rising up on that play again. Second down. Darnell Sankey getting a piece of it, Dwayne.
Yeah, keep an eye. Stand-up position. Backer Darnell Sankey. Nice reaction to get the big paw on the football.
Big second down with this momentum swing, and first down for the Argos there. It's Braverman who really took a pop. Royce Mechie in there for the Stamps, but a first down. And now we got something going on further back between the Stamps and the Argos as flags come down. Mike Rose in the mix there, and Jamal Campbell too. Tempers flaring after that first down for Toronto. The flags do come out.
Unnecessary roughness, Calgary, number 41. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Right, Mike Rose is coming from the very left side of your screen eventually. Former teammates there showing some respect, Mechie and Braverman. You see the scuffle in behind.
Mike Rose was one that was flagged, so in addition to the first down yardage, tack on 15 more, and it's all the way to the Calgary 47. Getting late in the half, 2 under 2 minutes, 1:54 on the clock. Bethel Thompson handing it off to John White. Whistles blow and flags come out as he rounds the corner. The whistle came out after that play was rolling. Did seem to come out late.
Procedure, Toronto, number 51. It's 5-yard penalty, remains, first down.
So they do call procedure.
I think they might have missed on the number.
They said 51, thinking 52, and that's the rookie Peter Nicastro, if that's the case.
Timer. Please reset the clock to 1 minute 54 seconds.
1st and 15 after the procedure call. That one is intended for Jawan Breskison, the ex-Stampeder, who has scored Toronto's one touchdown in this game. That pass falling short, so 2nd down and 15. Argos, 1:50 on the clock.
The Argos would love nothing more to get some more points on the board, put together a solid drive here to wind down this first half that started so strongly for them offensively.
Castro is the center. The snap to Bethel Thompson. A pump fake, a flag out again, and he is taken down, greeted by 3 Stampeders. And that is well shy of any first down yardage. Darnell Sankey in there. They separate the pile now. As the half gets a bit tougher for McLeod Bethel Thompson, who was absolutely perfect in the early going. 8 for 8 on their touchdown drive. Things have stalled for the Argos since then. The first down play and penalty notwithstanding. And more penalties now. Offsetting penalties. The discussion continues, and Ryan Dinwiddie wants to know why.
Illegal contact, Calgary number 47. Face mask, Toronto, number 67. The plays balance out to a 5-yard back, 2nd down, repeated.
So not completely offsetting, pushes the Argos 5 further back. Fraser Sopik called, Jamal Campbell.
Cloud Bethel Thompson gets on the run. We've heard much about the big hitting linebacker Darnell Sankey. He gets in on that one on the Argo quarterback with a couple of friends.
2nd and 20 now, Argos. With time and airing it out and out of bounds. Tavares Daniels still without a catch in this game, the ex-Stampeder, and most recently with Edmonton in 2019. So that's incomplete, and on comes Boris Beatty. He'll try again to get his first punt off. The first attempt of the game was blocked by Charlie Moore. And Calgary's offense will have time to see if they can add to their lead with Sean Riley going back to take this Beatty punt. Standing inside his 40. It's a good punt for Beatty. And a flag is out.
Yep. Someone ran into the kicker.
So the contact there. So it wouldn't be enough yardage for a first down anyway when they were facing 3rd and 20. Will go against Calgary. 77-yard punt, by the way, into the end zone for Boris Beatty.
Contacting the kicker, Calgary, number 47. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
So moves them 10 yards closer. It's a 3rd and 10. And
thank you.
Greater interest to them, of course, is to hem Calgary deep instead of taking a single point in a booming punt like they would have had. Well, actually, they're going to try a field goal again. Well, hey, they tried from 58. So this is closer inside the midfield stripe, about 54 yards. He had the distance, Dwayne, the last time he tried it.
Yeah, distance was absolutely not the issue.
The strong-legged Boris Beatty. So will that penalty cost the Stampeders? Yes, it does. He really booted it. Strong leg Beatty, and a lot more accurate on that. So a good break for the Argos on that penalty, and they do get closer within a field goal now for Calgary.
Here you'll see the execution of this whole operation. Jake Reinhart with the snap. Bethel Thompson gets it down. And Beattie, I mean, this is a kid who has always had a phenomenally strong leg. Remember watching him kick in BC Place in the lead up to the 2011 Vanier Cup. He, of course, played at Laval. And just being in awe of the leg strength of this young man.
How high he could hit the hang time he was getting. Well, whenever they're in the mid-50s range, I'll never assume that they're going to punt again. They've had 2 long tries. Beattie 1 for 2 in that department.
Good job, good job.
Short yardage there for Kadeem Carey. 14-11 is the score now. That was the final score back in 1971 at Empire Stadium in the rain in Vancouver. Leon McQuay, great running back Argos, had the fumble just as Toronto was driving to go ahead in that game. Memorable. In 91, the Argos strike back. Rocket Ismail with an 87-yard kickoff return TD. Matt Dunnigan, the winning quarterback in that one for Toronto. And then Grey Cup 100 in Toronto, and a 9-9 team won it, just as they did in 2017 when they upset the Stampeders. What a brilliant year. That coverage is a bit tight. And it's Chris Edwards on it, and no flags there as it goes incomplete. But that's been the kind of the recent trademark of these two organizations. It's amazing to think that since, well, 2012, they've each won the Grey Cup twice, and their regular season records would be vastly different. It said the Argos, at the expense of the Stampeders both times, with a team that was 9-9, won there too. And then they could, they had some great teams, and they had teams that would slip down as well. And Calgary consistently up.
God damn it, special team!
And Jim Barker, I know you're listening. I'm not disparaging your Argo teams, by the way. Full value of that victory back in 2012. And Grey Cup 100.
Yeah, it was all the general managers.
Yeah. Well, I just don't want to get Jim upset. He's just back with us in the studio. And
procedure,
you're on
no
the road
win,
now.
Calgary.
That's right.
The penalty is declined. First down, Toronto.
And he knows, as he talked about, both sides, the Argos and former coach and general manager here in Calgary as well. Yeah, 14-11, I remember as a kid watching that game in 71. And Leo Cahill, legendary Argo coach, the heartbreak, they went 31 years without a Grey Cup. Finally ended the drought in 1983. Thought they'd ended it that day, but no, Calgary broke their hearts. Tavares Daniels on the receiving end there, another X stamp getting into the act for Toronto here as the final seconds of the half tick away. Yeah. Look where we are in the field. We're almost in Beattie territory.
Given the distance he's had, we might be in range.
Well, after that, we certainly are. And the receiving end there for Toronto is Eric Rogers. Eric Rogers, great Stampeder receiver, and getting his first catch in double blue. Finally get to say his name. 20 seconds. And that one is caught by Ricky Collins. So a late drive going here, certainly in field goal range, to see if they can tie it at halftime. Down to the 41. 15 seconds to go. Just get it closer or try for the end zone. Over the middle, and it's complete. It's Levi Noel, and so down to the 20 and 2 seconds left. So Beattie will come out and see if they can even up the score at 14, heading to the dressing room for halftime.
Keep an eye here on Levi Noel, one of the few holdovers in that receiving core, young Canadian. Seeing his opportunity grow here. Guy who's had a bit of a knack for making some big plays and limited opportunities in the past.
This is a real chip shot by comparison. Only 27 yards. And he missed it. After all that, he's maybe too close for the great range that he has. So Boris Beattie with his head coach looking on in what looked like a tying field goal. Never assume, Ryan Dinwiddie. That's a frustrating sight, although another point goes on the board and makes it a 2-point game, but still could have been tied. And that's after his career high, a 54-yarder earlier in the game. So an interesting one of momentum swings. It is the home side Calgary with a 2-point lead as we head back to Cape Burness.
All right, thank you very much, Rod, alongside Jim Barker and Davis Sanchez joining us remotely. It is Matt Dunnigan, and our apologies to Milt Stegall. Now I just feel bad that I joke that he doesn't get enough camera time. We legit lost his feed. That's why he's not here, so I feel like I jinxed him. We're going to give Milt the entire pregame before the next game. I think we can all agree with this.
Milt's at a barbecue right now.
No, he's not.
Yes,
no, Milt is the hardest working man on this broadcast. No offense to you guys. There is no way he's at a barbecue. He's maybe running sprints or doing push-ups. That I would believe. Matt, let's just talk about this game right from the get-go. You know, we were expecting a lot of ugly football at the beginnings of this season. This has been another example of really great football, and the opening drives from both of these teams were fantastic, and just a lot of patience from both quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love what Rod Smith said. It's good to see Dwayne back in the booth and Rod together. And Rod made reference to Jeremiah Masoli and Hamilton Tiger-Cats' first drive against Winnipeg, and that was much like McLeod Bethel-Thompson against the Calgary Stampeders. Look, he's a guy that was not going to let grass grow on his feet. He played in the spring league during the time off and kept and honed his skills, and he looked sharp in his first drive. He threw the ball extremely well. Watch him here. Coming off the edge, he's got pressure in the face, and he stands tall for a touchdown. And McLeod Bethel-Thompson, really honing his skills, feels comfortable with Ryan Dinwiddie's offense. And I look at Bo Levi Mitchell on the other side. Boy, it took him a little while to get to going, but once he did, Dave Dickinson started spreading things out, little fly sweeps, and keeping that defense off balance. And Bo Levi Mitchell was able to start finding his groove and show his poise and his makeup, and he started distributing the football all over the field like we know he can, no matter who. That was a big question coming into this year, whether or not he was going to be able to do that with his cast of characters. Well, his cast of characters look just fine to me.
Well, and we were concerned, too, about that groin in training camp. That looks absolutely fine. He looks at peak health, so certainly got into more of a rhythm. Now, meanwhile, Chelsea, something we saw at the beginning of the game, you know, it's week 1. We expect this normally, you know, week 2, week 3, as the season goes along, especially by the postseason. But Charleston Hughes just jawing at his former teammates. I mean, you love to see it.
Yeah, well, I love to see it. And then I saw who it was. I saw them kind of chiming back and forth. And then I looked, and it was Sean Lemon. I was, oh, here we go. 2 of the OG vets going at it with each other. Here they go. And I said, you know what this reminds me of? Look, there's Lemon, there's Hughes. It reminds me of grumpy old men or Angela Moscow and Joe Cap waving their cane at each other. Come on, fellas, save it for the game. You're 30-something. I know how it feels. But that physical play from these defensive linemen, to me at least, on Toronto's side, has been why Calgary hasn't looked explosive on offense. They have the weapons, but they haven't looked like an explosive Calgary offense. I think it's due to Toronto's defensive front thus far.
Well, I think that Glenn Young as the new defensive coordinator, Brent Monson, the defensive coordinator in Calgary, both of those guys, it's kind of like a prize fight. They're feeling each other out. They're trying to figure out, you know, should I bring 5 or 6? Should I rush 3? You're seeing a little bit of everything. And they're bend but don't break defenses. There's been no turnovers offensively. We had the block punt. But for the most part, you've got 2 teams feeling each other out. It should be a really interesting half. We watched yesterday and Thursday. Not great adjustments at halftime in certain situations. Let's see what happens with these against these bend but don't break defenses and what they decide to do.
Well, and that's the thing. We're sitting yesterday here on the desk and saying the Rough Riders look amazing. Then they come out in the second half and they couldn't find that momentum. So maybe this is the first game where we finally see these teams already in rhythm. A fantastic first half, 14-12 for the Stampeders.
T-Mobile gives you more ways than ever to get out there. We're America's largest 5G network. So get out there. Take the epic iPhone 12 with 5G with you. Current and new customers can get up to 4 on us. Experience it with our new Magenta Max plan with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. And connect your devices on the go with 40 gigabytes of high-speed hotspot data included. That's right, unlimited premium data in the iPhone 12 on us. Get out there with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G.
Philips presents OneBlade. Trim, edge, shave. For every style, for your style. Philips OneBlade. Your style made simple. Together, we make life better.
Philips.
Subway has so much new, I couldn't fit it all in the last ad.
Yep, so let me finish this. There's new hickory smoked bacon, fresh mozzarella, smashed avocado. You know what? There's a lot, but it all makes a better footlong.
Can I get a word in?
Sure, take the tagline.
Because you got to refresh to be fresh.
It's the Eat Fresh Refresh at Subway, and they're refreshing everything from how they make it to how they bake it to how they bring it to you.
This new turkey Cali Fresh is incredible. Do you even eat bread? Steph, it's a commercial.
Los Angeles is a movie. It's a musical.
Es un musical.
It's a comedy.
It's a romance.
It's a sci-fi movie.
It's an action movie.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story. Un regreso.
It's a comeback story.
Hold up. It's your comeback story.
The CFL is back, and we will rise together. Visit cfl.ca/tickets for more information.
Well, for the first time as the Elks, Edmonton welcomes the Red Blacks to town tonight after this game, who will, of course, rely on their youth and a new head coach in Paul LaPolice this season. Now, here is the Red Blacks' new QB, Matt Nichols.
I think everyone grows as they get, older and more experienced, and so you understand how to handle things differently and in a better, more positive way. And so, for me, especially in a year like this where no one's played football for 2 years and every team has changed. Our team is a full new coaching staff, and a lot of new players, and a lot of key pieces have changed. And so, I think more than any other year, the preseason rankings mean absolutely nothing.
I don't think I'd be doing a service to the players if I talk to them about don't worry about outside noise, and then I start saying, did you hear what so-and-so said about you, right? So again, if we're true to worrying about us and our process and what happens, and understanding that the most important people in the success of the organization is in the room, right? They're going to determine by their play what they do. So no, we try not to ever fall into that stuff and talk about that stuff.
The Stampeders with a 2-point lead at the half. Sarah Orlesky joins Kamar Jordan coming up after the break.
Subway has so much new. I ran out of time in the last ad.
So I'll take it from here. Sorry, Steph. Spokesperson refresh.
Wait, what?
Subway just upped their bread game with the help of some world-class bakers. Looking at you, Nance.
Got to refresh to be fresh.
How many people are in this ad?
That means freshly baked, new artisan Italian, and hearty multigrain. That would go good with. Seriously? I didn't even get to finish. See you next commercial.
At T-Mobile for Business, unconventional thinking means we see things differently so you can focus on what matters most. Whether it's ensuring food arrives as fresh as when it departs, being first on the scene when every second counts, or teaching biology without a lab, we are the leader in 5G, #1 in customer satisfaction, and a partner who includes 5G in every plan. So you get it all, without trade-offs. Unconventional thinking. It's better for business.
USAA is made for the safe pilots, like Matt.
who can come to a stop with barely a bobble. With USAA Safe Pilot, when you drive safe, you can save up to 30% on your auto insurance. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for. Get a quote today.
Well, you wanted the quiet life, John. Dead batteries, empty streets.
Welcome to Advance Auto Parts.
I need one of those.
I'm coming for you!
Happy trips.
Keep this car moving. Whoa!
Hey, that's my line.
Die Hard batteries, only sold by Advance and CarQuest Auto Parts.
Dear Mainland, aloha. We asked our friend Kelly Slater how to catch a big wave.
Like so. I caught one too, brother.
One life, right? Mahalo.
You've Zoomed. You've posted. You've binge-watched. Now, it's time to get out and play. Tennis. It lets you keep your social distance without being socially distant. Let's get out and play.
Every Sunday night is one step closer to October. Give us the postseason push on Sunday Night Baseball.
Everybody knows we got relationship goals. Oh, got relationship goals.
First half stats brought to you by Milt Stiegel's Barbecue. Chezzy, what stands out for you?
Only 86 passing yards for the Stamps. I expect some of these receivers to try to get behind this Argo defense in the second half.
But that time of possession, 18 minutes, Calgary had the ball, one drive in the first quarter. Toronto's got to find a way to get Calgary off the field.
All right, let's send it back to Calgary and join Sarah Lesky with Kamar Jordan.
Kamar, August 25th, 2018 was the last time that you found yourself in the end zone after almost 3 years and everything you've been through. What did it mean for you to be back there?
It was special, man. It was a long time coming, man. I definitely wanted to get in the end zone in the playoffs. Hopefully I could have got a couple to win us the game, but it was definitely special. Just for everything that we went through, for the fans to finally be back, everybody get back and get the first one. It felt good, but we got more to go. You already know.
What stood out to you about that opening 2 quarters from an offensive point of view?
I think we definitely seeing that we need to focus on us, kind of make sure we're doing all the little things right, and to be able to just produce drives. We can't think too much. We can't play outside of our game. As long as we do what we do, St. Peter football, we should be fine against whoever we play.
Thanks for the time.
No problem.
Well, a great first half of football for our first game of a doubleheader. We head back to McMahon for the second half coming up next.
At T-Mobile for Business, unconventional thinking means we see things differently so you can focus on what matters most. Whether it's ensuring food arrives as fresh as when it departs, being first on the scene when every second counts, or teaching biology without a lab, we are the leader in 5G, #1 in customer satisfaction, and a partner who includes 5G in every plan. So you get it all, without trade-offs. Unconventional thinking. It's better for business.
Los Angeles is a movie. It's a musical.
Es un musical.
It's a comedy.
It's a romance.
It's a sci-fi movie.
It's an action movie.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story.
It's a comeback story. Un regreso.
It's a comeback story.
Hold up. It's your comeback story.
I've always wanted to do that.
Next round on me.
Philips presents One Blade. Trim, edge, shave. For every style, for your style. Philips One Blade. Your style made simple. Together, we make life better.
Philips.
Subway has so much new. I ran out of time in the last ad.
So I'll take it from here. Sorry, Steph. Spokesperson refresh.
Wait, what?
Subway just upped their bread game with the help of some world-class bakers. Looking at you, Nance.
Gotta refresh to be fresh.
How many people are in this ad?
That means freshly baked, new artisan Italian, and hearty multigrain. That would go good with. Serious? I didn't even get to finish. See you next commercial.
What you're made of and how bad you want it. When the stakes are high and the lights are on you and the weight of the world's on your back. Do you dig your boots on in? Why you under pressure in overtime? Felt strong enough to hold the line in the final round. Are you backing down or finding out what you're made of?
Halftime in Calgary, the Stampeders lead. The Argos with a great drive capped off with a touchdown by former Stamp, Juwan Breskison. Let's go back to Sarah.
Juwan, you tweeted that it's been 2 years, but you finally got to see game day. Then for you to be able to get into the end zone and against your former team, Orit, how much did that first touchdown as a Toronto Argonaut mean?
It was great. It was a nice confidence boost. I wanted to contribute. It was my first catch of the game. It just happened to be a touchdown. But we have a lot to clean up, and we just want to finish this game strong.
Does it feel different coming into McMahon as a visitor?
It definitely does. Sometimes I forget what bench I'm supposed to run to, but I'm used to it now.
Okay, well, keep an eye on that in the third quarter. Thanks for this.
Thank you.
From Mississauga, Ontario, and in his 5th year, but first with the Argos up against his old team, and so too is the head coach, Ryan Dinwiddie. Saw his team off to a great start in this game in that first quarter. A dominating time of possession, but things turning around, the momentum swinging in that second quarter for Calgary, taking the lead, but the Argos chip away at it after a missed field goal from Boris Beatty. It is now a 2-point game, with the Argos getting the football to start the second half off the foot of Rene Paredes. And it's Daniel Braverman on the return, had a busy first half in the receiving department.
Number 87, Daniel Braverman.
Back comes McLeod, Bethel Thompson, Wayne.
Yeah, and Bethel Thompson came out on fire, leading this Toronto Argonaut offense, marching down the field on their first drive, putting together a string of completions, primarily quick hitters, before connecting with Juwan Breskison for the game's first touchdown. Bogged down a little bit through the middle portion, however, of that first half.
Good numbers overall, 8 for 8 in their opening drive, and a good start here. It's Ricky Collins. Can he take it all the way to start the second half? Getting chased by Deshaun Amos, who punched the ball loose, and Calgary has it. What a start to the second half. After all of that, Amos is the hero as he punches it out, denying an Argo touchdown, and it's Calgary football. Wow.
Fantastic moment for Deshaun Amos, and remarkable emotional roller coaster for Ryan Dinwiddie and the rest of Argo Nation. But just very heads-up play by Amos, recognizing that there's a chance, right? He can see the ball is away from Collins' body a little bit, times it up perfectly with that punch, not just going to make the tackle, but looking to create a turnover, and does just that, erasing what would have been an absolutely massive play for the Toronto Argonauts.
Never gave up in the pursuit, closed in, punched it out. DJ Killings recovered it in the end zone for Calgary, so their ball. No damage done to the Stamps after a 92-yard gain, all for naught. Mitchell under pressure. That falls short under first down as they scrimmage from their 25. early candidate for defensive play of the year, I would think.
A heck of a play from Deshaun Amos. But you think about just in the final moments of the first half for the Toronto Argonauts, the first moments of the second half for the Argonauts, in a 3-point game, right? A very makeable field goal missed after you drive down the field. And then you have that huge play just to turn over the ball when you're in scoring position.
Could add that up to 9 points right there. And a deep look for Kamar Jordan, who comes down with it. Shaq Richardson was all over him, and Jordan's having a game with a big play there, and he has the touchdown from the first half.
Yeah, Kamar Jordan's back all right. He and Bo Levi Mitchell picking up where they left in 2018, left side of your screen. Nice little adjustment on the route as he kind of started off on more of a post, recognizes that there's coverage in the middle of the field, took it a little bit more vertical to stay up the seam between those two defenders.
A 49-yard gain, Bo Levi Mitchell to Kamar Jordan.
Terrific catch on a contested ball. Yeah, if he stays on what was his original path on that route, he's going to be basically right on top of the safety, Creston Butler. But because he adjusted, took it a little bit more vertical, stayed in the seam, gave Bo a little bit more room to thread the needle there. And Kamar Jordan going up and getting that ball in traffic.
3 catches, 63 yards, and a touchdown. That 49-yarder, a big one for Calgary now to take it into Argo territory around the 36. Some issues with the chains being sorted out right now, hence the delay. And what a change of momentum in the start of this half with that big play to Ricky Collins, the punch out by Amos, and then Calgary answers with a big play here to Jordan. Kamar Jordan again on the receiving end, and another first down for Calgary on the move. 14 more yards for Kamar Jordan, ends up to 77 yards now. Working tempo are the Stampeders. Kadeem Carey, right side, picks up 3-4 yards.
He's down to the 16-yard line.
Bo Levi Mitchell, a lot of success against the Toronto Argonauts. Look at that. This is regular season, I should point out. 11-0 and over 70% pass completion. Really impressive numbers. He has them against just about every team in the CFL, but especially Toronto. There is that one asterisk, and that would be the 2017 Grey Cup. Fingers pointing, flags out. You did it. No, you did.
Charleston Hughes.
It was
Charleston.
Cumbre says it's Charleston. Charleston said no, it was you. They were teammates for a year in 2018 for 2017, excuse me.
Love the mischievous Charleston Hughes grin.
Offside, Toronto, number 39. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Oh, boy. Taunting their old friend.
And only one guy is pointing the other way. 12 guys pointing at him, and Charleston saying, who, me?
Calgary only 1 for 3 in the red zone. And a chance now. And it's Jordan now inside the 5. Kamar Jordan having himself a game, his first regular season game since Labor Day weekend 2018. What an odyssey he's been through, and was having such an excellent season as we talked about earlier.
Yeah, so much for shaking off the rust for Kamar Jordan.
Consider it shaken off a little while ago and looking very polished right now.
I mean, you consider obviously the time away from regular action for him, plus no training camp, but he is in fine form.
2nd and 3 inside the 5. Kadeem Carey. And it's Charleston Hughes that's in the backfield and gets at his feet and takes him down. So another third down gamble coming up. And they're 3 for 3 in that department in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Rod, to watch this Toronto defense through the second half. Maybe a little bit of a feeling in terms of body language that 18 and a half minutes time of possession for the Calgary Stampeders in the first half took its toll.
So this is their fourth third down gamble. They're right near the end zone and throwing, and it's a touchdown, and look who it is. What a day for Kamar Jordan. A long time coming. Hey, a long time for CFL fans, even longer for him. What a celebration.
With the production that he had on this drive, I don't think Bo was going to look anywhere else when it came time to go to the end zone.
Kamar Jordan with his 6th catch, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. And a 14-point swing, assuming the convert here. We do have a challenge flag out. Ryan Dinwiddie talking it over with the referee, Justin McInnes.
Toronto is challenging the previous play for offensive pass interference on Calgary number 17. The play will be reviewed.
So it's Jordan with the catch. Another receiver, Markeith Ambles, is being accused of OPI.
Ambles is the closest receiver to us on the screen, bottom left corner. So we'll see if there was something more than a rub that helped get Kamar Jordan open. Okay, so keep an eye, Ambles again. We'll see what he does. Jordan's going to be the receiver working from the inside.
That was on the coverage of Mayala, though, and not on Jordan.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no question of the contact, but would it have made a difference in the play?
Went out of his way to pick the defender, but he's running a pick for Hergy Mayala in the flat. Jordan's running the deep route. That's where the ball went.
Then again, it doesn't matter if it makes a difference in the play. If it's illegal, it's illegal.
Yeah. Situation when you're Markeith Ambles, you still have to sell your route. He frankly looked like he was a basketball player setting a pick in that instance.
A lot of twists and turns in this game, in this second half, when it looked like a Argo touchdown, suddenly taken away. Calgary drives back very quickly, and looks like a Kamar Jordan touchdown, but is it coming back? Markeith Ambles. They do the challenge, calling it offensive pass interference.
After review, we have illegal interference, blocking downfield on Calgary number 17. We also have objectionable conduct, Toronto number 6. Those penalties balance off. It'll be third down at the previous point of line of scrimmage.
So they win the challenge, but it is costly with Chris Edwards of the Argos being flagged. So they'll move it back and do it again on a third down for Calgary.
Again, you're going to see Markeith Ambles working in to pin the defender in. It's kind of that turn and the extension of the arms. Unnatural in creating contact that leads to the flag.
So there's that penalty, and it would have pushed Calgary back, but the yardage-wise it's negated because of an objectionable conduct call against Chris Edwards for the Argos. So they repeat the third down, and Calgary's still very close to that Argonaut end zone. So no second touchdown at this point for Kamar Jordan. But they'll have another shot here on third down. 3 for 3, the Stamps are in third down tries. This one trying for the end zone. Again, near the same spot and looking for, looked like Colton Hunchak. And it doesn't work out this time, so an advantage for the Argos there as Calgary turns it over on downs. Bo Levi Mitchell trying for Colton Hunchak and just knocked away. Chris Edwards in on that play. We'll be back.
Up here, success depends on the choices you make. But I know I've got this. And when it comes to controlling his type 2 diabetes, my dad's got this too.
With the right choices, you have it in you to control your A1C, and once-weekly Trulicity may help. Most people taking Trulicity reached an A1C under 7%, and it starts lowering blood sugar from the first dose by helping your body release the insulin it's already making. Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. It's not approved for use in children. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it. You or your family have medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with sulfonylurea or insulin raises low blood sugar risk. Side effects include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration and may worsen kidney problems. Show your world what's truly inside. Ask your doctor about once-weekly Trulicity.
We have back-to-back challenges. The Stampeders challenging for interference here on the turnover on downs.
Yeah, you can see Bo Levi Mitchell lobbying to Dave Dickinson on the sideline to challenge as he walked off. And here it's Chris Edwards who's the man in coverage on Colton Hunchak. Look for his right arm sort of around the waist or rib cage of the receiver as the ball is en route.
Hunchak wanted the flag there. It was Chris Edwards, as mentioned, who was flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. And the previous one that was challenged successfully.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Toronto.
So the Argos win that challenge too, and Calgary does turn it over on downs. No interference call, and the previous play, a touchdown to Kamar Jordan, was negated on a penalty to Markeith Amble. So comes up empty for Dave Dickinson after the Argos came up empty on a play of over 90 yards when they last had the ball. Still no more points here in this second half, but a whole lot of offense. And flags coming out for the snap of the football.
Procedure, Toronto, number 52. Half the distance to the goal, remains first down.
The center, Peter Nicastro, the top picks for the Argos. Played here at the University of Calgary. So Philip Blake is back in at center where he had started. Nicastro had been playing at center and is now back at left guard. Pressure's coming, gets it away. It is complete just across the 5. That's to Eric Rogers, one of the ex-Stamps.
And your mission when you're Toronto right now is you got to pick up at least a couple of first downs. You may not march all the way down the field, but you've got to put yourself in position where you're not handing Calgary the ball back in scoring position right away.
So So deep in their own zone, a big second down here from McLeod Bethel-Thompson. As the noise picks up at McMahon. Short pass, John White, and just shy. It'll be close, but as said, they are deeper in their own zone. What do they do here? It's decision time for Ryan Dinwiddie. If they did not get that first down, it does not look like they did. But it doesn't look like they need much. And they are going. Bethel-Thompson keeps it and easily gets a first down. So the drive continues in a 2-point lead for Calgary.
Yeah, that was one decision Ryan Dinwiddie did not have to think much about.
Another successful third down conversion. Here at McMahon, we have seen a few. Bethel-Thompson, the last possession, struck with Ricky Collins in what was looming as the biggest play for the Argos in this game. And certainly in terms of yardage, it was over 90, but all for naught. John White on the ground up near the 20. Excuse me, Declan Cross, fullback in his first carry for Toronto. Now veteran and really one of the, in terms of tenure, elder statesmen on this Argo team that's seen so much turnover in personnel. Product of McMaster.
A unique guy, Declan Cross, in terms of his skill set, banger, terrific blocker, showed good ability as a receiver as well.
Bethel-Thompson on 2nd and 4. That one is broken up. To Sean Amos, who had the biggest defensive play of the game when he punched it out of Collins the previous series. And the coverage there in Eric Rogers. And the Argos this time will be punting.
Yeah, keep an eye on the receiver coming in motion from the backfield. He makes that breakout. Amos on the corner sitting on it. Nice break to the football to get that left hand on the ball.
Boris Beatty has had a punt blocked in this game by Charlie Power. Gets it away from his 10. Coming in for it after a 42-yard punt is Sean Riley, who takes it up across midfield to the Calgary 52. Deshaun Amos. Big defensive plays. Celebrating his latest one that forced the Argos to punt. Calgary football when we come back.
Up here, success depends on the choices you make. But I know I've got this. And when it comes to controlling his type 2 diabetes, my dad's got this too.
With the right choices, you have it in you to control your A1C, and once-weekly Trulicity may help. Most people taking Trulicity reached an A1C under 7%, and it starts lowering blood sugar from the first dose by helping your body release the insulin it's already making. Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. It's not approved for use in children. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it. You or your family have medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with sulfonylurea or insulin raises low blood sugar risk. Side effects include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration and may worsen kidney problems. Show your world what's truly inside. Ask your doctor about once-weekly Trulicity.
There's a place down yonder where 3 streams converge into one. It's where I watched the Mandalorian get himself into a space squabble, watch me some UFC, and those folks from Modern Family, well, they had me cackling like a trout getting tickled. That's the Disney bundle for you. It lets you stream Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus for only $30.
Back in Calgary, still a 14-12 lead for the Stampeders. They have the ball again after a Toronto punt. In their last possession, they got down near the end zone. Thought they had a touchdown. It was challenged for interference successfully. And they turned it over on downs. And confusion there. Richardson Danny, the intended receiver, not expecting the ball from Bo Levi Mitchell. And Robertson Daniel, the ex-Stamp, the corner, injured on the previous play. And so Matt Boateng comes in for Toronto to play the field corner.
Second-year Canadian Matt Boateng out of Fresno State University. Some possibility, some talk of the Argos going with Canadian at the corner, as they also have Arjun Kaboon, who they signed from Edmonton. Starts the season with an injury list, however.
Back to passes Mitchell again on second down and gets it away for a first down right back to Sindani, who's ready for it that time. First down, Calgary.
Well, you get a great look here at Bo Levi Mitchell navigating the pocket, really, as pressure closes on him. We're not using too much energy in the process, right? Just a little slide step here, a shuffle there, step up and get rid of that football.
Good job keeping the feet in. Another product from the University of Calgary, Richardson Danny. And Ante Milanovic-Litre on the carry left side and picks up a few more yards for the Stamps. Past the midway point of the third quarter. And the third game of 4 here in week 1 in the return of the Canadian Football League for 2021. Still one more to come in this doubleheader in Edmonton later with the Elks and the Ottawa Red Blacks. Head coaching debuts with their teams for Paul Lapalisse in Ottawa. He's been a head coach before with Winnipeg. And Jamie Elizondo, his first taste of being a head coach in the CFL. That one for Hunchak, and coming in was Richards, and a flag comes out.
A couple of flags on the play.
A couple, and in the Calgary backfield, Charleston Hughes wanting to get to Bo Levi Mitchell and did, and there's a flag back there.
Pass interference, Toronto number 23. Roughing the passer, Toronto number 39. 15 yards up from the spot of the pass interference. First down.
We'll take a look at the action in the backfield first. Charleston Hughes. And downfield. Jeff Richards just did it. Touch early on Colton Hunchak.
I was going to say, do you think he was early?
Well,
it always looks a little
looking
different
from
on
that
replay.
angle, you know, at live speed, I thought it more than I did in the replay, to be honest with you.
Jeff Richards, who, by the way, last in the CFL, picked off Bo Levi Mitchell in the Grey Cup in 2016 in Toronto as a member of the Ottawa Red Blacks. Now with the Argos. Calgary ball, Milanovic-Litre. As Enoch Mwamba came in and got a piece of him, as Milanovic-Litre got a couple more yards on that carry inside the 15. Enoch Mwamba, one of several big free agent signings for the Argos in the offseason, or off-seasons, if you will.
Yeah, it was an aggressive couple of off-seasons for General Manager Pinball Clemens, his assistant John Murphy, and the Toronto Argonauts front office as they look to remake this roster.
Ball's at the 18, and the Argos are asking for a flag.
Procedure, Calgary, number 67. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
They ask and they get it on a procedure call that pushes the Stamps 5 yards further back.
Big Zach Williams out of the University of Manitoba. 2019 draft pick of the Stamps.
A lot of turnover in this Calgary offensive line. But over the years, they've done a great job of developing a solid old lineman. Mitchell, Milanovic-Litre cuts back inside the 10. And a third down field goal scenario here for Rene Paredes. Veteran kicker, product of Concordia in his 10th season. He's had many strong seasons, including a few with accuracy over 90% in the field goal department.
A model of consistency. Rene Paredes, undrafted.
Amazing when you think about it now. 86.8% in his career in field goals. And this one, another short one. Take out the flop wedge. 15-yarder. Right through it goes. 3 more on the board and a 5-point lead for Calgary. The Stampeders come back and put the first points on the board in this second half. Over to McLeod Bethel Thompson in the Argo offense here in the CFL on TSN from McMahon Stadium.
Up here, success depends on the choices you make. But I know I've got this. And when it comes to controlling his type 2 diabetes, my dad's got this too.
With the right choices, you have it in you to control your A1C, and once-weekly Trulicity may help. Most people taking Trulicity reached an A1C under 7%, and it starts lowering blood sugar from the first dose by helping your body release the insulin it's already making. Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. It's not approved for use in children. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it. You or your family have medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with sulfonylurea or insulin raises low blood sugar risk. Side effects include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration and may worsen kidney problems. Show your world what's truly inside. Ask your doctor about once-weekly Trulicity.
The Stampeders add to their lead. And there's always something new on Crave, too. You can catch the latest hit movies and original series you won't find in any other streaming service this August, only on Crave. Bethel Thompson. Argos now trailing by 5. And first catch for Curly Gittins Jr. for Toronto.
Yeah. Third-round pick in 2019 as a guy who stepped up and grabbed a starting spot here in his sophomore CFL season. One of the most prolific receivers in Canadian university football during his time under Coach Michael Faulds and Wilfrid Laurier.
Very short game, though. Less than a yard. So in that second and long, and that one is broken up nicely there by the Stampeders and Jonathan Moxey. So third down, 2 and out for Toronto.
That's essentially Moxey beating the receiver, Juwan Breskison, to the spot. You saw him get inside position, fighting through, sort of dipping that right shoulder to get between Breskison and the football.
And that's the second straight 2 and out for the Argos. And a conversation now. A challenge flag has been thrown by Ryan Dinwiddie as he discusses that with Justin McInnes.
Toronto is challenging the previous play for pass interference. The play will be reviewed.
This is what they're challenging. Jonathan Moxey comes in with Juwan Breskison the target.
I mean, Moxey's allowed to try and make a play on the football. And that's what he's running for.
Well, the Argos have challenged before in this half, and they did win that challenge in what looked like a Calgary touchdown.
Yeah, right on the hash marks. There's Breskison with the break in. Moxey has inside position on him.
The entire button down to the Stampede Foundation 50-50 draw. Presented by Remax, see it on the big screen. Over 147
going to start calling that pass interference. You're going to make it very difficult for people to play DB in this league.
Live speed look, what Moxie did in breaking up the play. The third challenge here in this second half that we've seen. Both have gone the Argos' way. But you have to wonder if the Argos are going to win this challenge. Looked like a pretty good play for Moxie. In which case, if it doesn't stand, Toronto will be punting again, and as mentioned, would be the second straight 2 and out.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It'll be third down.
And Ryan Dinwiddie's not done talking about it. Boris Beattie. Number 25. Sean Riley, the lone man back to take it for Calgary after a 56-yard punt. Riley. One of the newcomers for Calgary. And Charleston Hughes back with the Stamps for the first time as an Argo. We'll talk more about him when we come back.
Phillips presents One Blade. Trim, edge, shave. For every style, for your style. Phillips One Blade. Your style made simple. Together, we make life better.
Phillips.
Up here, success depends on the choices you make. But I know I've got this. And when it comes to controlling his type 2 diabetes, my dad's got this too.
With the right choices, you have it in you to control your A1C, and once-weekly Trulicity may help. Most people taking Trulicity reached an A1C under 7%, and it starts lowering blood sugar from the first dose by helping your body release the insulin it's already making. Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. It's not approved for use in children. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it. You or your family have medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include
Charleston Hughes is the CFL's active sacks leader, and he's getting in range of the all-time leader, Grover Covington. Let's head down to Sarah Oleski.
Oh, don't think he doesn't know that, Rod. And that is marked. He is counting down, trying to get to that same number as Grover Covington did. Covington retiring back in 1991. And so Charleston thinks if he can get there, maybe he can have a record that could stand for 30 or so years. He took the opportunity during 2020 to prepare for life after football, but the 37-year-old feels there's a lot left to accomplish, and that sack record is certainly motivating him right now. He's led the league the last 2 seasons with a combined 31 sacks. You know that he would absolutely love to be able to get one here tonight against his former teammate, Bo Levi Mitchell.
Oh, Sarah, would he ever? And at 130, number 3 on the list, by the way, Bobby Jurison at 140, so it is possible this season, based on what Charleston Hughes has done in the past, that he could be in the top 3 by the time this season is over. In his pursuit of the great Grover Covington at so many years, dominant on the defensive line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats back in the 80s.
It was interesting talking to Charleston Hughes this week about preparing for this season, especially as an older player, as you said, 37. You know, yeah, you're a year and a half older than you were when you last played, but at the same time, you may be healthier. And he said, yeah, I think I'd feel great coming into this season with all the time off, except that with gyms and facilities being closed because of the lockdown, because of the pandemic, it was very difficult to prepare the way that you normally do for the season. And I think you're going to see that with a number of guys that, you know, it may take a little while to peak here in 2021.
Some of the memories for Charleston Hughes, who broke in the CFL with the Stampeders, had so many great years. See him in pursuit of Darian Durant there. 99 sacks. Stampeder red, white, and black. Zach Caleros back in his Hamilton days. That classic Charleston Hughes celebration as well. And there's number 39, Calgary Stampeders, still remembered fondly, I'm sure, even though he's now with a different team and had the experience of coming back to McMahon with a couple of years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders as well, so he knows what it's like. Sam Atchepong is the injured Argo and heading off the field now. What a remarkable career for that man, Charleston Hughes. The whole package in the sack department, pass rush specialist, and still looking for his first one in 2021 against his old team. 130 in his great career. 8th in the all-time list. The handoff, Kadeem carrying a good gain on first down, taken down by Dexter McCoyle and just shy of the Calgary 50. 10-yard gain and a first down, Stampeders.
A nice job by Bo Levi Mitchell here of doing his job, which is occupying a defender with the bootleg fake. You can't just hand off the ball and then watch the ball carrier go. He's got to sell it like he's got it on the bootleg. See how that holds Chris Edwards, the contained man, so he can't collapse to the football. He's got to honor the bootleg and stay outside. That helps open the gap, open the hole for the running back.
Mitchell with time. Mitchell throwing deep into double coverage. And that's incomplete. Josh Huff, the intended receiver there.
And it felt like as this ball was in the air and the defenders were converging that this was going to be an opportunity for an interception for the Toronto Argonauts.
Nearly
Huff
caught it.
almost came up with that.
He nearly did come up with it. Would have been an amazing catch, especially with that coverage all over him. Lamenting that one on a second down now for Calgary. Stampeders, lower scoring second half so far. Just the 3 points on the board for Calgary, and Enoch Mwamba has a nice greeting there.
Heat-seeking missile. Middle linebacker Enoch Mwamba. Going to drop off in coverage, but watch how he attacks the line of scrimmage, coming down to make a play on that ball. Sure tackle, wraps up, brings down the receiver.
The global player for Calgary, Cody Grace, in to punt it away. Daniel Braverman takes it. 38-yard punt. And maybe a yard return shy of the 25 as McLeod Bethel Thompson will come back on the field with the Argos. It was a 2-point lead, Calgary, at the end of the half, and just a field goal so far. Lower scoring, 17-12. The third quarter is done here in the CFL on TSN and McMahon.
Not all 5G networks are created equal. It's clear to see. T-Mobile is the leader in 5G. T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, most reliable 5G network.
I love shovels.
Where did you come from?
Ever find a body?
What? No.
Did you contact 811?
Who are you?
Did you know it's the law?
Why is a child yelling at me?
What if you hit a gas line? Who pays to fix it? Do you? Does my neighbor? Can you go to jail? How much is bail?
It's good to ask questions, like did you contact 811 before digging?
Are we going to jail? I don't know.
Spend less bacon, get more of it. With the only $1 bacon cheeseburger around. Only at Burger King. Enjoy flame-grilled beef, melty cheese, and sizzling bacon for $1. Stack your bacon with the $1 Your Way menu, featuring the $1 bacon cheeseburger.
Opening weekend of La Liga. Catch all 10 matches on ESPN Plus. And Barcelona versus Real Sociedad on ABC and ESPN Deportes.
Here are your numbers for three-quarter time here at McMahon Stadium. The Argos trail by 5, Dwayne, and should they lose this game, they'll really lament the missed opportunities late first half and especially early second half.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit of a theme for both teams. You look at the Toronto Argonauts, obviously a chance to tie this game or even take the lead with a missed, very makeable field goal to end the first half, and then the big Ricky Collins play that ended in a fumble to start the second half. But then you look at Calgary as well, really dominating in terms of time of possession. They've had the ball in close several times. You saw in the stats there, just 1 for 5 in the red zone in terms of scoring touchdowns when they have those opportunities. And so, you know, I'm sure this will be an area of focus for both teams, but also recognizing, again, short training camp, no preseason. The fine-tuning will happen on the fly here.
So we start the fourth quarter now. A 17-12 game. And Bethel Thompson looking off to his right. And he does complete that one to Collins, who had the big play to start the second half, going over 90 yards. Looked like he was heading to the end zone.
And DJ Kills on the stop for Calgary, number 25.
But had it punched away by Deshaun Amos. So it's a gain of about 8 yards. And second down. A.J. Willett on the carry, his first carry of the young season, product of Ohio, and a teammate of Nathan Rourke. They were teammates in 2018. Rourke, of course, making his debut for the BC Lions last night. Up at the Argo 36 and a 1st and 10. 17-12. It was 14-12 at the half. Just 3 points, Stampeders in that third quarter, and there were opportunities for both teams to get more. Bethel Thompson to his right again. And that one is complete, shy of a first down, but it's Ricky Collins and another good gain on first. 6 catches now for Ricky Collins, including the one that got punched away by Deshaun Amos.
Yeah, Ricky Collins coming off a 1,000-yard season with the Edmonton Eskimos. The guy who, I guess, really didn't initially get the opportunities or the offers that he thought he might in free agency, and had briefly retired. Wasn't going to play, but the Argos talked him into coming back, and here he is in week 1.
6 for 126, including that big play in that one. Amos in on the coverage of Collins again. Amos has been a real pain for Ricky Collins in this game, and he's telling him about it now by the looks of things. So that's a third down and a couple of yards. Deshaun Amos having himself a game. Broke up a play to Eric Rogers earlier and had that big defensive play, that punch out.
Yeah, and a great story. Amos, a guy who played primarily on the field side, but moving over to that boundary side, the boundary corner spot, big shoes to fill. Replacing Trey Roberson, moved to the NFL after his terrific 7-interception season in 2019. So actually overshadowed a 5-pick season for Deshaun Amos.
Trying to draw him offside in this third down gamble, 3rd and 2. McLeod Bethel Thompson tried to draw him. Crowd's picking up on it and sensing what's going on as the punting team is sent on by Ryan Dinwiddie as they take the time count violation. We'd seen a lot of third down gambles, and that in Toronto territory would have been one of the bigger ones with 2 yards they still needed. Sean Riley back, and Boris Beatty to punt. It'll be Calgary football. All those years with the Alouettes, Beatty. A 46-yard punt for the Argos as Riley gets his return up to the Calgary 34. Fourth quarter, Bo Levi Mitchell going back to work here in Calgary.
I've always wanted to do that.
Next round on me.
Talk to you tomorrow.
After a year of going bottomless at home, go bottomless at Red Robin with free refills of crispy bottomless fries by the basketful.
Red Robin.
Yum. In a relentless world, connected but alone, trapped by illusion. But there is another path, where the battle to belong begins.
Hi, I'm George Kittle. My home, the military, and the NFL. Come see what my life is like off the field with USAA's Home Base on ESPN YouTube.
The Stampeders have the lead. There are injuries of concern, though. Let's go back to Sarah Oleski.
Yeah, Rod, a few injuries so far in this game that we know about. Josh Huff, the Stampeders, will not return. Same thing for Jamar Wall. On the Argos side, it's Robertson Daniel. He used to be a Stampeders, but joined the Argos this season. He will not return.
Thank you, Sarah. Injured on a special teams play and a punt. And that's where things stand right now in this opening game for both of these teams. And it's close, a 5-point game. Lots left in it. In this fourth quarter, Markeith Ambles on the receiving end from Bo Levi Mitchell and gets up across the Calgary 50 for a first down and a gain of 15 yards.
Ambles just going to hit that quick slant, timing route. 3 steps, ball's on its way. Pick up a first down. Ambles, another one of those receivers who was kind of a part-time guy, part of the season in 2019. Looking to step into a bigger role here with some receivers moving on.
Mitchell again on first down. Kadeen Carey thought he had it and was looking to carry it up the field, and he dropped it.
Yeah, I think there may have been a little bit of a glance there at the oncoming Jeff Richards. Little peek out of the corner of his eye, perhaps. As the saying goes, you're going to get hit anyway, so you might as well catch the ball.
Stampeders 10 for 20 on second downs. This is 2nd and 10, and it's finger pointing time again as Charleston Hughes pays a little visit for Bo in the Stampeder backfield. They're going to march the Stampeders back a bit by the looks of things. The discussion actually does continue. That's Shane Ray, newcomer to that Argo defense, in on the discussion.
Shane Ray, former first-round pick of the Denver Broncos.
Procedure, Calgary, number 68. It's 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
So yes, they do march them back 5 more. What happened?
Yeah, you get 300 pounds leaning, it ain't easy to stop.
Justin Lawrence, product of the University of Alberta, gets flagged for that. So it is second down and 15. Stampeders. Still over 11 minutes to go in this fourth quarter as Bo steps up and puts it up. And a wide open receiver, and is Colton Hunchak getting his first catch of this game, and that is a big one to put Calgary in scoring range.
Hunchak had been involved in a couple of plays where there were debates about pass interference. Earlier on, now he finally gets a chance to get the rock in his hands, and it's a big one.
37-yard gain. Milanovic-Litre on the carry following that. So inside the 25, but the 23-yard line.
Take a look back at the Hunchak catch. Mitchell stepping up to deliver.
With pressure coming and intended for Mayala. Bo Levi Mitchell does get it away, but nowhere near him on that play. Bit of confusion as the field goal team will come on for Paredes.
Again, easing their way down into scoring territory, and makes you cringe a little bit when you're Dave Dickinson to keep sending Paredes out there. It's not that you don't trust your kicker. He's a great one, but you'd like to see your offense punching it in the end zone. Send him out there for converts rather than field goals.
Well, you said it. That one wasn't inside the 20, but the 5 times they've gone inside the 20, only 1 touchdown that you talked about, and they were awfully close to red zone there. So settling for a field goal again. Paredes is perfect. We've said that before a few times. So 3 on the board. However, it is still a 1-score game here at McMahon in the 4th quarter.
I'm not always on my game, but lately, my uncle is, especially with his type 2 diabetes.
With once-weekly Trulicity, most people reached an A1C under 7%. Plus, it can help you lose up to 10 pounds. Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. It's not approved for use in children. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it, you or your family have medullary thyroid cancer, or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with sulfonylurea or insulin raises low blood sugar risk. Side effects include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration and may worsen kidney problems. Ask your doctor about once-weekly Trulicity.
Sonic Banana Pudding Shake.
Not all 5G networks are created equal. It's clear to see. T-Mobile is the leader in 5G. You're simply the best. T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, most reliable 5G network.
Well, the second half of our doubleheader taking place just 3 hours north of Calgary. Matt Nichols and the Red Blacks taking on Trevor Harris and the Elks. Coming up from Commonwealth Stadium after the game.
All right, Kate, back here at McMahon. It's still a 1-score game after Rene Paredes' 400th career field goal makes it a 20-12 Calgary lead. So Argos trailing by 8 with the ball. And Bethel Thompson, under pressure, just throws it away. It'll be second down.
Mike Rose, the man in pursuit. Showing his range off a little bit. See, he's going to start off on the nose on this one, pursuing out to the sideline. Flushing the quarterback.
Toronto 7 for 15. In second down situations. Over the middle, nearly picked off. It is knocked there by Jameer Thurman. And it falls incomplete. Thurman was just a star with Calgary a couple of years ago, went away to the NFL, and now he is back. And we get to say his name for breaking up that pass and forcing the Argos into a punting situation. Third straight 2-0 Toronto to win.
But on this very young Calgary team, what a welcome re-addition Jameer Thurman is, being gone in the 2019 season here in 17 and 18. But taking a look, exploring opportunities down south.
48-yard punt from Boris Beatty. Sean Riley on a short return. And time to do some push-ups on the sideline. Wayne, what do you think? I just did mine. Are you going to do yours?
Yeah, you might get that out of Stiegel in the studio, but we don't do that in the booth, partner.
Yeah. Well, Stiegel's by remote and apparently had a barbecue going, Kate was saying. So, knowing Milt, if you want to enjoy his barbecue, you got to do about 100 push-ups first. That'd be the rule.
The crazy thing is us setting that up all day.
A small barbecue and lots of salad. They serve up lots of salad. Everything healthy. Healthy for Jameer Thurman doing his push-ups. After a play, it's on the carpet, a fumble, and the Argos have it. Charleston Hughes has the ball and a big turnover with the Argos still in a one-score game. And this turns very quickly on a fumble by Kadeem Carey.
Charleston Hughes with both the initial hit and the recovery to give the Toronto Argonauts a much-needed short field here.
So tough for Kadeem Carey there, who had dropped earlier that ended a drive, and the fumble here, and the Argos take over. Momentum swung the other way on a big turnover for Calgary. Let's see what Toronto can do to take advantage as McLeod Bethel Thompson puts it into the end zone, and the closest three players all wear red and white. 2nd and 10.
Looking for that sudden change effect. Trying to go deep on that first play after the turnover. They'll put themselves in a tough spot here now on 2nd and long. Stampeders done a pretty good job of pressuring Bethel Thompson as this game has gone on.
Crowd picks up the noise on 2nd and 10. Wide open Curly Gittens Jr. and a big touchdown for the Argos. Biggest catch of the young career of Gittens, who had 1 for 10 yards in 2019 and a couple tonight. There's the big one. A touchdown that could tie the game.
Taking advantage. This is what you've got to do. Watch the free safety, Royce Mechie. He's coming on the blitz. He's going to creep up towards the line of scrimmage. We're getting man coverage. The middle of the field's open. Slot, what are you going to do? Take the hole, get to the middle. Curly Gittens knows it. No help over the top. Home run shot.
A 27-yard strike from McLeod Bethel Thompson to Curly Gittens. Touchdown Argos. Gittens, product of Wilfrid Laurier University. They go for 2, of course, trying to tie it. Into the end zone. That's a nice catch by Eric Rogers. That ex-Stampeder hauling in a big play to make this a 20-20 tie.
Well, for several years, the end zones here in McMahon Stadium have been Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
He was a big addition to the Argos from Calgary, and we haven't said his name a lot in this game. We're saying it now. After the touchdown, big 2 points, Eric Rogers against his old club. Tie game.
Phillips presents One Blade. Trim, edge, shave. For every style, for your style. Phillips One Blade. Your style made simple. Together, we make life better.
Phillips.
Hitting the road this summer? Not all 5G networks are created equal. T-Mobile covers more interstate highway miles with 5G than the other guys. T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, most reliable 5G network.
I've always wanted to do that.
Next round on me.
The leap of faith. Some hesitate, but not you. You don't ask what if. You embrace what's next with open arms. You don't question your decision. You double down. Because you know the thrill is worth it. Introducing the 2022 Telluride Nightfall Edition.
While streaming the Disney bundle, I watched a gutchy lady playing with sharks. I hunkered down with La Liga, and those folks.
Take a look first at the Curly Gittens touchdown. He's going to be the trailing receiver here. Keep an eye on the corner. Rookie DJ Killings. You're going to see 3-on-3 out to that side of the field. 3 receivers, 3 defenders. Killings kind of sits and waits to let Brescison clear. Meanwhile, Gittens makes his break. That's just enough time to create some separation. Bethel Thompson spots it and puts the ball up for the touchdown.
Sean Riley on the return for Calgary off the kickoff by Boris Beatty and gets it up still shy of the 20-yard line. The Argos had the early lead. Calgary came back. They led by 8, and then with this, the touchdown and then the 2-point conversion. What a catch by Eric Rogers back at McMahon Stadium.
Using all of that 6'4" frame to go get the football.
So for those former Stampeder receivers, you look at Tavares Daniels there, talking to Eric Rogers. Juwan Breskison had a touchdown in the first half. Rogers the big 2 points after the Curly Gittens touchdown, his first CFL touchdown. And now we got a tie game. Fergie Mayala on the receiving end there for Calgary.
Mayala, the Canadian first-round pick in 2019. The guy who kind of softens the blow of losing Juwan Breskison. He demonstrated, obviously, that he was ready to play. A big part of why he was picked so high was he was the most CFL-ready receiver in that draft class. Over 500 yards as a rookie.
Markeith Ambles, first down Calgary. Across the 35, 6:29 in the fourth quarter. These games have been close. The opener, the second half dominance, especially by Winnipeg defensively, but overall great performance by the Bombers in beating Hamilton. But closer than we expected after Saskatchewan last night took a 31-0 lead and ended up winning by only 4, and we get a tie game now. Argos and Stampeders past the midway point in the fourth quarter. Kadeem Carey, and still on his feet. Preston Butler couldn't get a handle on him either, and finally Deku hauls him down, but on a mission is Carey, and a flag comes out late after the play is done.
And there's a late flag.
I love my yards after contact, and Kadeem Carey picked up a bunch of them on this play.
After the play, objectionable conduct, Calgary number 35. Back 10 yards, first down.
So he did all the work. He did all the work, and then we throw the ball right at an Argo.
I'm not sure whether it was where the ball ended up or something that was said, but clearly detected by the officials at field level. And you see the frustration from him.
So after all that work to help make up for the fumble earlier that led to the Argo touchdown, he does take the penalty. Now, it comes after, of course, the play was dead. So it's still a first down. It just moved back to the Calgary 41 now for Bo Levi Mitchell and that offense. And in behind and nearly picked. Jeff Richards nearly had himself an interception. Mentioning he's done that before under different circumstances of Bo Levi Mitchell for Ottawa in the 2016 Grey Cup. That one nearly fell into his mitts as it was thrown a little behind the target.
Yeah, kind of a too good to be true for Jeff Richards.
So it is second down. Dumping it off, Milanovic Litre. Slips a tackle, gets up to the 45. But still not nearly enough, and they'll have a punting situation for Cody Grace coming out.
Tough fourth quarter for Calgary running back Kadeem Carey. Think about it, he's had that penalty that took away a first down. He had the fumble, which led to Argo points.
And a drop, too.
Drop pass before that. No doubt he'll be looking for some redemption as this quarter winds down.
Daniel Braverman waiting it out, picking it up, and a short return on the punt. But what does McLeod, Bethel Thompson, and the Argo offense have in store after taking advantage of the turnover, the fumble recovery by Charleston Hughes, leading to a touchdown by Curly Gittins and a big two-point conversion and a great catch by the ex-Stamp Eric Rogers. 22 of 32 for 298. Completed his first 8 passes, including a touchdown to Juwan Brescison. Another ex-Stamp. That's been a running theme for this Argo team in this visit to McMahon today. 20-20, 4:06 on the clock. The crowd picking out here at McMahon Stadium. An early movement on that Toronto line. So the Argos take a penalty.
Procedure, Toronto number 59. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
It's DeJean Allen. The left tackle getting called there. First and 15. A lot more energy from the crowded man now, trying to make it difficult for Bethel Thompson. Finds an open receiver. It's Eric Rogers, and a first down for the Argos.
Has the first down.
Well, we saw the Argos come out of the gate on fire to start this ball game. We saw them finish the first half with a field goal and then drove to get in position for another field goal, so kind of finished strong offensively, if not on special teams. Big play to start the second half.
And Deshaun Amos making his presence felt again as John White can't find the handle of that football. And as you said, he still pays the price.
Yeah, this is worth a listen. Of the pads. John White, of course, no worse for wear.
That is part of football. That sound, that feeling, I'm sure. Bethel Thompson taking it off and taking it out of bounds. And taking it a little bit further. Taking it over a bench and getting straightened out and right back.
To make all that effort to get out of bounds without getting hit.
That became a bit of an adventure once he got outside the white line. So Macbeth on the move. He's got something going here despite that little trip. 20-20 tie. And he and the Argos have the ball at midfield. 3 minutes to go.
Hold on.
It just B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Can you do it slow?
B-A-N-A-N-A. Banana.
Okay.
Bananas. S. Sonic banana pudding shake.
Okay, great. I think that's right.
It is.
We'll have to check a dictionary.
I won the spelling bee.
I'm not always on my game, but lately, my uncle is, especially with his type 2 diabetes.
With once-weekly Trulicity, most people reached an A1C under 7%. Plus, it can help you lose up to 10 pounds. Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. It's not approved for use in children. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it, you or your family have medullary thyroid cancer, or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with sulfonylurea or insulin raises low blood sugar risk. Side effects include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration and may worsen kidney problems. Ask your doctor about once-weekly Trulicity.
Well, you wanted the quiet life, John. Dead batteries, empty streets.
Welcome to Advanced Auto Parts.
I need one of those.
I'm coming for you!
Happy trips.
Keep this car moving. Whoa!
Hey, that's my line.
Die Hard batteries, only sold by Advance and CarQuest Auto Parts.
Well, looking like a great ending to this one, but don't forget, coming up next from Commonwealth, Trevor Harris and the Elks taking on Matt Nichols and the Red Blacks. But for now, let's get you back to McMahon enjoying Rod Smith.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, we've got a finish coming up here in a 20-20 tie. So at the 3-minute mark to go in the fourth quarter at midfield, the Argos are on the move. They had the previous 8 points to tie it up, and it's John White on the carry in short yardage, and it's Sean Lemon, the Lemonator, who was with the Stamps winning a Grey Cup in 2014, and makes the tackle there after a gain of 3. Lemon let go by Edmonton in training camp, and the Stamps picking him up again. Later went to Ottawa, won another Grey Cup. Time with the Argos and Lions as well. 2nd down and 8. Eric Rogers again, and another first down. The sticks move for the Argos, and a very important drive late in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Eric Rogers quiet early on, right? But as this game has gotten closer, Eric Rogers has figured more prominently. Coming into crunch time, a guy McLeod Bethel Thompson can lean on.
He has 5 catches for 55 yards, not to mention that brilliant 2-point catch that tied the game. Daniel Braverman had a busier first half on the catch there, but not much doing. It'll be 2nd and long. When you consider Boris Beatty was easily, distance-wise, fine from north of midfield, this right now would be a 47-yarder. He missed the short one. He made the longer one.
The decision will be interesting for the Toronto Argonauts because the couple of really long attempts that he had were with the wind. Going into a little bit of a breeze here now. I don't think it's quite as strong as it was in the first half when those longer attempts were made.
1:53 on the clock. The ball spotted at the 40. It is 2nd and long, over 9 yards to go for the Argos. Come back and tied this game. Several momentum swings in it too. Some costly mistakes, some missed opportunities on both sides. Escaping the pressure and throwing it down to a wide open receiver, and that time Davaris Daniels, as another ex-Stampeder, gets into the act inside the 20.
Inside the Calgary 20.
You're going to get secondary pressure coming from this side, so Bethel Thompson's got to go the other way to find space. Recognizes the open receiver as he goes.
Old Doug Flutie Argo jersey making its presence. Flutie, of course, did quite a few things here at McMahon for the Stampeders. Daniels with the catch and a first down as they're driving and inside the 15. And John White for Daniels. That was his 2nd catch. He now has 29 yards receiving. Breskeson has 1 for 9, but that one catch is a touchdown. Eric Rogers 5 for 55, including the 2-point convert. And yes, Stampeder fans are getting a little reminder of what left Calgary to head to Toronto. And those ex-Stampeder receivers.
All about managing the clock for the Toronto Argonauts right now as they're...
Sean Lemon has him. The Lemonator. Added late to the Calgary lineup and drops McLeod Bethel Thompson.
And I stand corrected. It's all about managing the clock and not giving up field position. Don't want to make late game-winning field goal attempt any harder here. For Boris Beatty, Sean Lemon, late veteran addition to this Calgary roster, comes up with a big defensive play.
Boris Beatty late in the half would have tied the game, missed from 27 yards. This would be a 32-yard try. He's hit one already in this game from 20 yards further than that. He actually tried one from 58 and had the distance, but that one went wide in the first half.
Timeout, Toronto.
So settling things down, Ryan Dinwiddie calls a timeout before the running the clock down as much as they could. At 38 seconds now.
Timer, please reset the game clock to 41 seconds.
Interesting night for Beatty, who did have a long one of 54 yards, missed from 58, missed from 27 as said. He also had a punt block in his Argo debut. The Stamps certainly took advantage of. So here we go. This is for the Argo lead with just seconds on the clock. Boris Beatty, 32 yards out. And he puts it through. And Toronto, at 1.8 down, is now 3 up. It is a 23-20 Argo lead. And ex-Stampeder quarterback coach Ryan Dinwiddie closing in, possibly on a victory here.
Bit of pressure in the Toronto Argonaut backfield on that kick. Brandon Dozier was the man who got through. Les Beatty punches it through.
So Dave Dickinson talking it over with Bo Levi Mitchell now with just 37 seconds on the clock and needing to get into field goal position.
Bo Levi Mitchell, who has never lost a regular season game against the Toronto Argonauts.
Markeith Ambles, Sean Riley back for the kick from Boris Beatty with the ball at the Argo 35. Beatty kicks it deep, and Riley has it as his goal line. And the coverage by the Argos is very good. Pellerin, Dion Pellerin taking him down at the 20. So it is a long way to go for Bo Levi Mitchell. And that Stampeder offense, Rene Paredes, one of the greatest in history, never known as much for his distance as he is for his accuracy, which has always been tremendous. So where would they have to get to in a couple of plays to have a chance?
Yeah, I mean, saying that, it's now Paredes who has a little bit of that wind at his back, extending his range.
You need some real estate in a hurry. And instead it's picked off. Shaq Richardson, another former Stampeder, by the way. He was with Calgary in 2018, excuse me. And Richardson with the pick that'll seal the deal as a flag is down as well after the interception.
Mitchell recognizing that he needed some serious real estate to get into field goal range. Tried to force that one down the field. Shaq Richardson just waiting.
Unnecessary roughness, Calgary number 88. Half the distance to the goal, first down Toronto.
What a feeling it must be for Ryan Dinwiddie in his first game as a head coach and back in a place that is obviously special to him in the celebration. Eric Rogers there. Boris Beatty and Eric Rogers were the culprits there to give him that shower to celebrate win number 1 as a head coach, and right back here in Calgary. You heard Sarah Oleski earlier talking about this, that Dinwiddie had said this wasn't exactly the most comfortable scenario to make his coaching debut. He probably feels a little differently about it now.
Yeah, unique situation. He talked this week about how close he is with so many of the guys on the Calgary staff. Very good friends, and obviously there's a fraternity in coaching in this league in general that you have conversations with people. But he said it's, I haven't really talked to them much in the lead up to this game. Kind of stayed away from that because he was getting his game face on, and his golfing buddy Dave Dickinson doing the same.
Well, it's great to see the CFL back in Calgary. But as this game comes to an end, it was even a better day for those who used to play and coach in Calgary. The ex-Stampeders, led by that man, Ryan Dinwiddie, and the Toronto Argonauts, victorious in their 2021 debut, coming back and taking it on a late field goal, 23-20. So part one of the doubleheader is done. We head further north in Alberta for part two. First, let's go back to Cape Furness and the panel.